Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the World Online Racing YouTube channel for another round of some great PC Tier 1 action. Here tonight, the drivers are taking to the beautiful, the historic and iconic Spa-Francorchamps circuit in the heart of the Stavelot Forest in Belgium. A fantastic circuit, should make for some fantastic racing, the longest on the calendar, and it's going to be a lot of fun this evening. My name is Dan Field, and tonight I'm being joined by Nathan Richards. Nathan, how are you doing today?
Hello, Dan. Hello, everybody in the chat. I am doing perfectly fine as usual, apart from the fact my internet is not being very nice, hence why you can't see my face, and you can just see my Discord logo. But of course, going into Belgium, I think we're going to have a brilliant race. The standings as well. If you ignore Brendan Lee, who's 50 points ahead, we've got a great fight. This is looking like it could be a really good evening for the championship here in Belgium.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brendan Lee, I had a look at the standings before this one. Of course, I wasn't here last time out in Saudi Arabia. Nathan was just running through what happened last time out, and it seems like I missed out on quite a lot of big stuff. So we're going to cover that in just a few minutes' time. But let's have a look about that result. We have got Tom Manley, of course, taking the win by just 300 seconds over Rhys Linton. British 1-2 with Joris Krozen finishing on at the podium. What a season he is having, the young rookie driver. Jan Halliday in P4, so second down to fourth, filled up with reserve drivers. A fantastic race from Will Lewis in P5, and championship leader Brendan Lee, disappointed, I'd say, to not finish on at the podium last time out, but of course, he was less than a second off of the win. Same goes for Duncan Hoffland, recently announcing, I think is maybe the worst kept secret in the F1 sim racing community, but he's finally announced that he is a part of the Aston Martin F1 team heading into next season of F1 sim racing. It's Van Pookie in what I consider to be his streets, Nathan. I gotta say, disappointing 8th position for him. Ben Chabaconyi rounds out the top 10 alongside Alvaro Caraton. We'll have a look at how that affects the standings, and how about that, Brendan Lee, 124 points. He's having a great time at the minute, well clear of anyone else. Tom Manley jumps Jarno Opmeer in second position. Jarno, of course, just 1 point back from Tom. Then Thomas Ronhaar in P4. So a nice fight for P2 at the minute. Ishmael Fassi, a little bit of a ways back in P5 on 41 points. And then Otis Lawrence, he sits 6th on 35, with Isvan Pookie 7th on 32. Will Lewis, a fantastic season from him. I'll sing it from the top of the world. He's having a great year. 28 points in P8. Joris Krozen in 9th on 25. And then Nicholas Longe is 10th on 24. But how about the season that Brendan Lee's having, Nathan?
Yeah, it's just insane, isn't it? I mean, these last couple of games, certainly, and I think Brendan will agree, haven't been his best. But going on to F1 24, it seems like he's, a little bit more confident, up on form, and now probably one of the best, if not maybe the best driver at this current point here on the F1 game. Of course, you've got the likes of Tom Manley as well, who's really, worked his way through over the past year and a half, 2 years. So we're really starting to see some, newer faces and some faces returning back up to the top of the standings. But it's also great to see Nicholas Longe back with us, of course. I don't think he's been here since round 2 or round 3. He's back here tonight, of course, 10th in the standings, so he won't be fighting for any sort of championship. But of course, he'd still love to try and take a win away here around Belgium, which he's, I think, took a winner back in season 15, if I remember correctly.
I think you might be right. I mean, season 15, that feels like a long time ago, but that was only 1 year ago, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Probably one of the best seasons of WOR's history. Of course, Jarno Opmeer won his second title. Yeah, it was season 13, 15 and 16 that Jarno Opmeer has won here in WOR. It's not really looking like it's going all his way for his 4th championship, but maybe things can change as we head into the final parts. are back, everyone. Fingers crossed you can hear me. You can't see me at the minute. Let me just fix that for you now. It should come up in just a second, everyone. Oh. Hang on. There we go. Flipping it. I mean, I'm trying not to swear already. I think spending all that time with Scott in the Iron Man League, that's starting to get to me. We're back, everyone. We've had a bit of a disaster. I mean, tell you what, maybe, Nathan, it was the best time that it's ever been, because of course everyone else's game decided to mess up.
Yeah. I don't know of a more convenient time for someone to have an issue. I mean, my issues are still ongoing, but luckily, touchwood, are ended and I'll be fine. Obviously, Dan's had his PC restart. We had people join the lobby, then being kicked out and couldn't get back in. Oh, dear me. It's been an interesting one indeed, but we're back. Dan, I think you need to get yourself in the lobby if you're not already in there.
Yeah.
Then we can head our way in. And hopefully, everything's sorted and we can get underway perfectly fine. I mean, we even had a discussion in the Tier 1 chat whether we're going to have full quali or short quali. That shows, I think, everyone's just frustrated and just want to get on with everything.
Honestly,
dear me.
It's all just one big mess at the minute. But you know what? We're getting everything sorted. Everyone in the live chat, thank you for being very, very patient with us. And I tell you what, Nathan, it's not the best start to life for me and my new flat. If you haven't noticed, everyone, the background's different. I'm no longer underneath a bed. I've got to go in spectator mode. There we go, Luke, I've done it for you. I'm no longer underneath my bed. My bed's right there, if you can see. Fantastic stuff. But I tell you what, Nathan, we've had a rough start today.
Yep, we certainly have. But of course, hopefully, we're going to have an interesting race. And I mean, we've got a couple of drivers returning as well. We got Nicholas Longay making his return first time since round 2, and also Alfie Butcher hasn't driven on this game in a league race, if I remember correctly, because he's not on the PSGL standings. He's not on our standings. So I think this might be the first time we're going to see Alfie Butcher take to the track here in some competitive racing.
That does excite me. Alfie Butcher has been a fantastic driver. He's been up and coming over the last couple of years, and he's really began to flourish after his debut season in F1 sim racing last time out in 2023 season. That's what we're going to call it. And it's good to see him back here racing this evening. Of course, recently leaving the Kick Sauber sort of frame. He and Brendan Lee were a fantastic duo last year. Of course, Thomas Ronhar was part of that Haas team. And now Alfie Butcher, he has left that boat. Thomas Ronhart and Brendan Lee left to their own devices. Great duo between the pair of them. But Alfie Butcher seeking new horizons.
Yep, and McLaren, which will be an interesting one indeed. You know, of course, alongside Wilson Hughes and Lucas Blakely, that should be a very strong team indeed. But I've got to say, the whole McLaren team themselves haven't really got off to the best start on this F124 game. I noticed through all competitions, they've been a little bit on the back foot. So maybe they need Alfie Butcher in here to kind of bring up their confidence and push them even further. But Dan, I'm looking here at the weather, and it's not what we normally expect, isn't it?
No, it is absolutely terrifying. We have got full wet conditions. Nathan, you're going to need to be looking on the stream for me to see whether or not my game is actually showing up at the minute. Okay, perfect. just needed to make sure, because in the last week or so, whilst I was getting everything set up, my second monitor just decided to break. I don't know what has happened with it. It's just completely broken and everything's gone wrong. So now I'm back to one monitor. It's been a long time since I've done it, so I'm getting used to it at the minute, but it seems like everything is all okay. And we're just getting ready for the drivers to take to the circuit in these conditions. It looks like to me, Nathan, it is going to be some intermediate running.
Yes, definitely. And just a quick bit of information for everybody in the chat. We have Ishmael Fassia, who will be joining for the race. Thomas Ronhart is going to be starting from the back, and I believe so will Nicholas Longay. So we're going to only have two cars going in Q1, which makes it a little bit more, a little bit less interesting, because you expect two of the people who are normally at the back to be going gators. Only Papinta also decides he's not going through to Q2. So we're going to be losing one car in Q1 at this rate.
Wow, fantastic. So really there is no pressure for anything to happen. I'm going to challenge the gods as well to just crash my PC once more, because we've got all the time in the absolute world. But yeah, it's Van Pookie leading the charge at the minute. He's the lone driver out on circuit. Tamas Gal is following behind him, and it is good to see, Nathan, that now we've been in these multiplayer cars for so long here in WOR that the drivers are okay. Nicholas Longe gets himself disqualified, so he'll be starting from the back. I think you did mention that, actually, so maybe I'm just not paying enough attention. But with all the time that these drivers have had in these F1 World cars, it's good to see drivers are finally starting to make it their own.
Yep, it certainly is, as we just follow a few of our cars through the middle set. So that would be Istvan Puk. We've also got Tamas Gal as well on circuit. Yet again, another driver that I've been noticing a lot this season. Tends to qualify well, but in the races tends to be a little bit on the back foot. So hopefully this could also be a bit of a resurgence here for Tamas Gal and likes of Ika Baena as well out on circuit, who we've seen quite a lot of this season. It's great to see Ika right at the top. I don't think we saw that much of him on the F123 game, but coming on to F124, it's nice to see him making some more regular appearances here in WOR Tier 1 as he just heads his way through Malmedy and down to Ravage. And I'm sure Dan will have the exact same issue as me, trying to figure out what corners have what names, because most of them have around 2 or 3 names on this circuit.
I'm watching Ruben Pedreño. I think this is Ravage through where he's going. It's something like that. And then in towards No Name Corner. I know it has a name.
Jackie X.
It's Jackie X's corner there. But yeah, I used to be called No Name. I'm going to stick with it. This is Puon, a fantastic name for a corner. As Ruben Pedreño slides his way through the triple left-hander. In my opinion, that is one of the most satisfying sets of corners to get right. Then in through the Lafania chicane. Again, another part of the circuit I really do enjoy. I do just love driving around this circuit. Of course, it's been updated for F1 at 24, hasn't it, Nathan? I mean, everything really does look different, especially down at Jackie X. Here, it's completely different. As we still watch Ruben Pedreño, it's a fantastic change to the layout, and it makes it a lot more realistic for the drivers today.
Yes, it certainly does. I'm just going back on board here with Pookie as he has his way down to Ravage on his opening lap. I mean, normally we'd see them out on intermediates anyway, but these laps will mean something as we are in intermediate conditions as we just follow Istvan through now into No Name, Jackie X, Speaker's Corner, whichever you want to call it. And then, of course, down towards P1 corner, I believe, turn number 12. Just get the car thrown in nicely. Try not to run too wide, otherwise that will be your lap time gone. As you head down towards the Lafania chicane at turns 13 and 14. Just want to throw the car in. Of course, be careful on the curbs in these wet conditions. It can easily throw the car off course as you head down towards Campus and Stavolo at the 2 right-handers. And we'll see what Istvan can do in this middle set to split. It'll be a 122.816. So definitely quite far off the dry pace. But hopefully we'll see what he can set here on his opening lap of the session.
Yeah, of course, it doesn't really make much of a difference how long the laps are in the wet. If it was in the qualifying, it does in the race. Of course, that will make the race longer, but we do have a set amount of time here in qualifying. So here is Istvan Puk headed through the final corner. Now that down at the bus stop chicane, what is the benchmark going to be? It's a 1 minute 52.937 from him. See what else other drivers can do further back behind. I need to find someone actually to go on board with. Ika Baena, he's invalidated his lap. Let's have a look at Tamas Gal in his Haas themed livery through the final corner now. What's it going to be for the Hungarian driver behind his fellow countryman? 1 minute 53.713. Gotta say, he'd be disappointed with that lap. We're not really going to have much of an idea of what the pace is actually going to be here in this first session, of course, because so many drivers are starting from the back. And as you said, we are losing one driver in this qualifying session. We've only got 19 in the lobby at the minute. Ismail Fassi not going to be here on time. Then Thomas Ronhart, Lenny Pepinter, and Nicholas Onge all getting themselves disqualified. So, yeah, not really much pressure in this session, I've got to say.
Yep, certainly not. And I think it looks even worse when you're the only driver to go out rather than one of 5. So I think everyone will be pushing hard so they're not the one and the only one going out in this session. As we do see Ruben Pedreño there set the fastest lap of the session with a 152.906, and many other cars still on lap. See Jack West just heading down towards Blanchemont corner. Currently he's purple in the middle set, but of course that is just well, I think it's a bit orangey. I don't think it actually means much at all because it says you're purple, but you're really not. So we'll see what Jack West can do on this next lap. Of course, another couple of cars on their opening runs as well. But a few cars, the 2 Ferraris, Duncan, Philip and Brendan, decided not to go out. So they're going to leave it a little bit later. So do they expect that the track might be getting a little bit drier as the session concludes.
Yeah, as Jack West comes across the line, a 1 minute 52.347. Here's Tom Manley to the line behind Jack West, the Welshman. Got a few more drivers in the final couple of corners. Yanni Tormala is beginning a lap as it stands. I think Will Lewis might be the next one to come across the line. He's invalidated on his run. Alfie Butcher has invalidated on his lap. What about Jake Benham through the final corner now, and to come across the line, the first 1 minute 51 of the day from the All-Star. A nice start for Jake Benham in this one.
Yep, indeed, a good start indeed from Jake, as we do see Keen Godendorp as well come up towards the line. We'll see what he can set to see heads to the line. It'll be P5 with a 152.929. I was on board with Alfie Butcher, but he had a mistake on his main lap, had no battery, so couldn't go again. Then nearly lost it at the top of our Rouge and Radion. So been a bit of a scrappy opening session here for Alfie, but of course it's his first race on the game competitively. So he's certainly a little bit expected here from the young Englishman. As Will Lewis is heading back around circuit again. He's not on a lap. I think he's going to either prepare to go again or maybe head back into the pits and get on a new set of tyres. We do have a couple more cars to cross the line here. Ika Bayana heading down in towards the final corner here at the bus stop chicane. And we'll see what he can set here as he heads his way up to the line. Currently in P15. Would like to be a little bit safer in the session. Goes up into P4. That should be certainly safe there for the young Spaniard, as we do have a few more cars going out on 8 laps now. So John Evans and Barry and Philip and Brendan all going out, taking a little bit later. So all out of sync, but of course on brand new tyres, should be setting some decent lap times here.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. We've only got it's only been 8 minutes of the session. Normally, Nathan, Q1 sort of zips by because drivers don't get out early. But actually, these drivers have been setting laps since the very beginning. Will Lewis invalidates on his runner. 1 minute 36 in the second sector is not anything really competitive at all for him. We'll see Yanni Tormala through the final corner now. What's it going to be for the Finn himself, the father, as they like to call him, a 55.078 for Yanni. That is not a good time whatsoever. He could be a candidate, unfortunately, Nathan, for someone to drop out in this session. We're only losing one driver, and it looks like it could be Yanni Tormala as it stands.
Yeah, definitely not the best lap at all for Yanni, over a second behind 8th, as we do see Tamas Gale now, who was in 8th, go up to second place there with a 152.178. And as we do see the track starting to get better, that just shows how good that lap was from Jake Benham, as he's still 3/10 quicker, exactly 3/10 quicker than the lap time that Tamas Gale set. And we do know Tamas, he's very good in qualifying, so that was a really good lap there from Jake Benham earlier on, as we do have Philip Preschneider currently on lap. And I've got to say, yet again, Philip has been another driver that's been quite impressive on this game. Of course, F1 22 and 23 haven't been his best games, and of course getting a late call up to F1 Sim Racing last season and didn't perform the best there. But heading on to F1 24, yet again another driver who started to get back into some of his old form and certainly has looked a little bit more competitive recently.
Yeah, Philip Preschneider is a driver that's never really set the world of F1 Sim Racing ablaze, but he's certainly been, as he finds an invalidation there, runs his left tyres through the gravel as well, but he has not really been someone to light up the timing sheets every single time, but he's someone that's reliable. He was a part of the Alpine fold for a decent few seasons and did deliver them some consistent performances in throughout WOR and F1 Sim Racing. I'm already feeling my throat going. I was telling Nathan before the stream today, I'm starting to catch on a cold, I reckon, as we enter the winter months. I already feel it coming in very, very soon. So Nathan, even though your internet is a bit shoddy today, I think you might have to take the reins at some point.
Well, there's always an issue, isn't there? Always an issue. As we do see Yanni Tormala go to the top there by 7/10 of a second. Tom Manley now goes to the top with a 150.942, and in the split of a minute, the track has got so much more competitive and a lot more quicker. So we'll start to see some lap times really start to come down now as we just head through with a few more cars here. I'm just on board with Barry Burman, currently in P13, of course, without a lap at the moment. So should certainly be a driver that will head up towards the top of the timings. But of course, at the moment, we've got just a 2-second gap separating first down to P9. But of course, we have had a change of weather over this past session, so it's expected to have a bit more of a disparity. As we do see, Barry Burman's head to the line goes quickest out with a 150.901, and John Evans as well going to follow through as we head our way through the final corner. Now we'll see what the Ferrari teammates of Barry Burman can do. Up to the line, goes up to the top there with a 0.831. A brilliant lap there from John Evans indeed.
Where's John Evans come from on this game? I'll cast everyone's mind back to Abu Dhabi at the start of the season. He was flying alongside Barry Burman, and now once again they are 1 and 2 in qualifying here at Belgium. I want a piece of these Ferrari setups. I want a piece of their livery as well, because actually all three of them are using the exact same car: John Evans, Barry Burman, and Nicolas Longuet. And as well as that, they've changed their icon to just be a red circle.
Yeah.
Quite a few drivers have actually done that. Tom Manley, Yoni Tormala, Tamas Gal. Ikebane's got a little bit of an outline on his. Philip Preschnader's done it as well. Tos Ronhar has got the same one as Ike, just with the Kick Sauber colours. Interesting logos here. Maybe not the most creativity in the world. I'm trying to think, whose do I like? I like Ruben's quite a lot. Ruben's got a nice...
It's nice, isn't it? Yeah.
Got a nice logo there. What about Duncan Hoffland? Something that's out there, you know. It's decent. It's nice. It looks like a little face.
If it's not the pink car, it's the beautiful logo. But a bit of information down behind the logos and why they're all red and purple and black, and that was because in E-Series over in PSGL, Conor asked everyone to make their logos to their teams.
Oh, right.
And I think everyone's followed that over here as well a few of them has followed it over here into WR as well.
Well, you can see who raced in E-Series and who didn't race in E-Series. So, I mean, that's a pretty clever thing. Those little slits are very, very small.
But it was originally from World, so we've got to give Luke the credit for that.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you very much, my friend. One thing I picked up on: Brendan Lee invalid on a lap. Once again, I think he's coming round either into the pit lane, which it is, yes, he'll come into the pit lane. Yet to set a lap time has our championship leader. Ooh. He's not got Jan Otmir here, but Tom Manley is kicking about, and he's in third at the minute. Brendan Lee, I think he really does want to get out this first session, because his teammates here as well, Nicolas Longuet, Ismail Fassi, Lenny Pepinter, they're all out. So there's only one driver that we're losing, and I think whoever that is they're just going to hate it. I would hate to be the one driver to go out.
Definitely, and I think the last driver that we expect it to be is the championship leader, which is in the lead by around, I think, 47 points or something mad like that after 7 rounds. So certainly it would be a big shock to lose Brendan Lee, but of course he has still got 3.5 minutes to go, and as I'm watching the skies now, Dan, the rain is pretty much starting to stop, isn't it, really? It's very, very light indeed, so we're at a position where, is it last one to go sets the quickest lap, like we've seen before around this circuit?
I hope not, because then it kind of just makes it a bit RNG, doesn't it?
Lucky, yeah.
I mean, the good thing is that we're only losing one driver, so it's not all about luck, and of course being at the very top in Q1 doesn't actually matter. You can be 1st and 15th, it doesn't impact anything heading into Q2. So I guess it's not that big of a deal this time by, but for that one driver, if they come out just a pinch too early, especially if it's like Isvan Pookie, Keaton Gondorp, Ruben Pedreño, who have got pretty slow laps in comparison to John Evans, Barry Burman, Tom Manley, who are all in the 1 minute 50 flats. So they need to be out as late as possible, and it's just about timing this lap to perfection.
Yep, so we do have a couple of cars going out onto circuit. The first one being Jack West, currently in P8 on a 152.347. We'll see what he can set in this session. Of course, it would be great to see Jack West head through into Q2 and possibly Q3. And, well, compared to normal, the chances of that are very high, considering we've only got one car going out in Q1, which will be the car which will be placed 16th, or if Brendan Lee doesn't set a time, the car that will be 18th in the session. But of course, heading into Q2, guys, don't worry, we will have, of course, 5 cars going out in that session. But of course, having Ron Harper, Pinter and Longgate not take part, and Ishmael Fassi join for the race, only one car goes out in this session. But all cars have gone out onto track, which indicates even more, Dan, that the track is getting better. And if we're not careful, we could even see someone in the top 5 go out. It's that close, isn't it? And with these conditions, you never really know which way the track's going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm just a bit beside myself. I'm glad someone's picked up on it in the live chat. It's Kips is saying, did anyone see the floating pit crew member. I absolutely did.
Oh.
And
Where?
I will show you when we get into Q2, Nathan, what I'm talking about. There was multiple pit crew members just flying in and out of the garage, phasing through the walls and stuff, and I'm genuinely got tears in my eyes. It's absolutely hilarious. But I know, I'll tell you one thing. We'll talk about it in just a minute's time. We've got plenty of drivers out on circuit, 16 to be exact. I think you've just seen it as well, haven't you, Nathan?
Yeah, I went back on the stream and they're flying. Oh my!
Absolutely hilarious. I'll show everyone at home in just a few minutes' time. Yeah, that's all you need to say. You just need to say EA, and I think everyone kind of gets at what you're saying. But let's have a little look here at Jack West. A 1 minute 52.347. If he has a good result tonight, it could be Greg Sausage Rolls from Iceland for this young man from Wales. A fantastic star, a rising phenom, you gotta say, that is Jack West. Headed through now to begin his final lap. The rain is still pouring down, but it is very, very light. This is similar to conditions that we see when the rain is just beginning. And of course, when the rain stops on this F124 game, the track dries like the click of a finger. It goes incredibly quick. Maybe not the most realistic thing in the world, but that is just something that these drivers are going to have to cope with. Jack West then through up Eau Rouge and Radion and down the Kemmel Straight. I believe every driver is going to get across the line to begin a lap. I think it was Kian Goldendorp that was the last one to come across the line, and that is what he is going to need. Currently 11th position on a 1 minute 52.929. Here's Jack West then through Malmedy at the very peak of the circuit. It's all downhill from here. The elevation change, Nathan, around this circuit is that of Big Ben in the city of London. It was a mind-boggling fact when I found it out, but it is absolutely true, and Jack West is going to be making that descent through the second sector.
Of course, we'll see what Jack can do now as he heads his way through P1 and down to the La Fagne chicane here at the end of the Q1 session. Of course, everybody on their laps now. They can't set another lap, so this is it as we just follow Jack West through. And you can see, Dan, further at the back, they're all pretty much phasing through each other. They're that close together on circuit, of course, just trying to be the last car on circuit. As we do see Jack West up by over 2 seconds now in the middle sector. So the track is ramping up heavily. So this end into Q1 could be a surprising one indeed, but luckily for the drivers, only one of them will be heading their way out of Q1 at the moment. The guy at risk is Brendan Lee, who is yet to set a lap, and he's down in P18.
He's right in the thick of things, just coming into the final sector now. We'll jump on board with him after we see Jack West come across the line. What's it going to be for the Welshman? Now he'll cross it with a 1 minute 49.780. Let's jump over to Brendan Lee. He's managed to keep the car on the circuit. Alfie Butcher goes exactly 2/10 quicker than Jack West. A disappointing lap from Philip Presnader. Barry Burman now the quickest. Then it goes to Isfan Pookie. It's chopping and changing with every single person coming across the line. Here's Brendan Lee to get himself out of the drop zone. But Kian Goldendorp, he is the last one to come across the line. Who's it going to be eliminated? It is going to be, I think, Ruben Pedreño to be eliminated from this qualifying session. Kian Goldendorp just survived being the last driver to come across the line, and indeed it is Ruben Pedreño hitting the showers early in Q1, the lone driver to get eliminated from this session who actually set a lap. Your bottom five is of course Ruben Pedreño, Thomas Ronhar, Lenny Pepinter and Nicholas Longue, as well as Ishmael Fassi. I'll bring everyone now back over to the intermission scene. We can talk about that qualifying. Nathan, Ruben Pedreño, he'll be gutted with that one.
Yeah, he certainly will. I mean, I think Ruben was one of the people I definitely did not expect to go out at the end of Q1, and with such a big gap as well to 15th being Tamas Gal, who also survived very luckily on a 150.289. Of course, at the top it was a 149.1 from Jake Benham, and his teammate Isfan Pookie sitting in second place, just a 10th behind. So the top two being the two Mercedes, looking very strong indeed as we head into a dry Q2 session to see what sort of antics the drivers get up to in this session at the moment. And I can't see any flying pit crew.
No, I think it's when the drivers come out on circuit. That's when we've got to expect them. So we'll have a look in just a moment's time, everyone. But I tell you, I mean, someone saw it. I'm not crazy. Nathan went back on the stream and saw it as well. So I think you're going to be treated. We got to pay attention to whoever's in the bottom right of our screen. Please do, everyone. Okay, my bed is made, by the way. It's just a little bit messy. But yeah, please do let me know in the live chat, everyone, if you can see things. Of course, I've not got my second monitor. Hopefully, I'll be getting maybe a cheap one off eBay or Facebook in the very, very near future. But Nathan, very excited to see. There you go. You can see them phasing through the floor at some point. Just keep your eye on the bottom right of your screen. I'll even turn up the track map for you.
Oh dear me, it's interesting, isn't it, Dan? What a game EA
What a
produced
game.
for us as we see. Oh yeah, I can see. Oh, he's gone now. Oh, see you later, mate. That's one less pit crew member for. Is that Philip Preschneider going out on track? Yeah, it is. So he's got one less pit crew member. He's phased through the floor and he's now underground, as I can see them floating from the other side of the pit lane.
I think you can see them as well.
Oh my!
We're just watching Alfie Butcher. You can see them flying from when you're just watching the cars go round. I wonder if there's any point on this circuit where you can just see them peeking their head maybe above the trees.
From Lacom.
Down at Lacom, we'll have a little look, see what
what
we can be presented with. But enough about the silly pit crew and all the antics on this fantastic F124 game. We have now got qualifying 2 underway and the DRS has just been enabled. And now, Nathan, in these drying conditions, there's no more rain, but it's only just got to a stage where the softs are the quicker tyre. That means with every passing minute, every passing driver that goes over the same pit of tarmac, they're drying up the circuit, they're creating that dry line, and every single time that happens, it's going to get quicker and quicker. So as the session evolves, I don't really know where I'm going. I'm on a little bit of a tirade. I think it's the cold getting to my head. But it's going to be getting quicker as the session goes on.
It's going to be interesting indeed. Towards the end, I think we'll still see the track getting quicker, so we could still have a really good fight for the Q3 spots. Of course, the bottom 5 of this session will go out and will not make it through into the Q3 for the top 10, of course, at the moment, that being Philip, Ika, Yoni, Brendan and Tamas, but of course no lap times have been set just yet, so I definitely wouldn't really count them out at all just at this minute, as we do see Jack West and Philip Preschneider become the first 2 cars to go out. Philip goes back in, Jack will stay out and go on his lap. We'll see what Jack West can do here as he heads his way with the DRS on the soft tyres down to La Source. And of course, another thing to notice over these first laps are the drivers have been used, of course, in Q1 to being on the wet tyres or the intermediate tyres in wetter conditions. Now they're going to be a lot quicker on a slick set of tyres. So we might see a couple of mistakes in the first lap, but the drivers just getting back used to the dry conditions.
And I wonder what kind of setups everyone has run. Of course, there is a lot of difference that goes into the dry setups and the wet setups, and I wonder if anyone maybe expected the rain to go a little bit longer. Perhaps they fitted a wet setup, and maybe a lot of the drivers, they expected it to get dry sooner, and they're already on their dry setup. Of course, with the Parc Ferme regulations, they can't change it once they've gone out onto the circuit, so whatever they've locked in, they're stuck with it now. And I think the grid order is going to be a bit shaken up come the end of Q2. We've got 11 minutes left to go, and Jack West is on his run. We'll ride on board with the Welshman as we head in towards the end of the second sector, the La Fagna chicane. I love this part of the circuit. It's a lot longer on F124 as Jack West gets a little bit squirrely off the exit of the curbs. It's been a bit of a tricky lap so far for him, a 1 minute 15.990. Of course, Nathan, the track not quite at the condition I think these drivers would be hoping for, but it is going to get there very, very soon. Jack West, though, it's interesting that he's on a set of the softs this early, because essentially this lap isn't going to be quicker than what we're going to see at the end of the session by any means. It's going to be a lot slower. He'll come into the pit lane, and that is a set of tyres that he's completely wasted.
Yeah, and that will put him at a little bit of a disadvantage going through into Q3, but of course, there's no point setting the lap time if you know you're going to be so far off what you'd be able to set anyway to the end of the session, as we do see everyone else also go back into the pits. We'll see, what does Barry Burman do? Does he go in? Yes, he does, and I believe so will John Evans. I don't think he's going to do much different to his teammate, but of course, I suppose another thing for the drivers to consider is that in Q1 they didn't use the soft tyres that they would have used, so they still have more sets of tyres to take through into Q2 and Q3. So it's not the biggest loss in the world at all for the drivers, and of course just wanted to get adjusted to the conditions and see how the track is handling at the moment. But of course there's still 10 minutes to go, so the track will get a lot better by the end of this session, and we might have a bit of a lull moment now, Dan, while we wait for everyone to get strapped onto a new set of tyres and go out. But as I say, that Tamas Gal is heading onto circuits.
Yeah, we can maybe see some more pit lane mechanics flying through. Yeah, Philip Fresnader, he's just come out and you can see his mechanics floating through the floor and everything. And Wilson's just reminded me that I have the memory of a goldfish, because of course they've wasted the set of the tyres, yes, but they've also got loads of sets due to the fact that they were on intermediates in Q1. So it actually doesn't matter whatsoever. I'm just a fool. I do apologise, everyone. I have been a little bit absent in the last couple of weeks. I wasn't there for Saudi Arabia, Nathan. What you were describing to me as a fantastic race.
Yes.
And we're hoping for much of the same tonight.
Yeah, it was a really good race indeed. I mean, we had a brilliant battle for second and third. I think at one point the guy at the front had a nice lead, and then all those down below had a really good fight. And then, of course, it closed up towards the end of the Grand Prix. So it was a really good race back in Jeddah. And, of course, I think Belgium can also deliver some excellence. Of course, lots of DRS zones as well, lots of straight line sections where you can really put your battery to use and close into the cars behind. I think we'll get a really good race around this circuit. But, of course, still Q2 and Q3 to go. No one yet has set a time in the second qualifying session, but of course with 8 minutes to go they can easily set 2 laps here at this moment, as Tamas Gal will be the first one to go out onto circuit. So this is where we get to see the disparity between the first and the last car in terms of how quick the track's getting, and what's the word, how quicker it's getting quicker.
More optimized, I suppose, the conditions.
Yes.
Getting more optimal for these drivers, of course, with every passing minute. As Tamas Gal, I thought it was a lock. I mean, he's actually braking along the circuit, just trying to get that last bit of heat into the tyres. We'll see him now head through the final corner at the bus stop chicane and then begin his lap. What can Tamas Gal accomplish here in qualifying as he approaches turn number 1, this hairpin corner of Le Source, swinging the car in through there. Of course, no more runoff on that left-hand side. It's all gravel trap down up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. You've got to be careful on lap number 1. Now flying up through this hill and on towards the Kemmel Straight. Tamas Gal will see what speeds he can reach. This will be the most optimal DRS overtaking opportunity come race time, as Tamas Gal will come towards the end of the first sector. A 30.572. How will this stack up in comparison to the rest of the drivers completing their lap behind? We'll have to wait and see. But so far, Nathan, Tamas Gal looking decent on his run.
Yeah, he certainly is. I mean, I was watching him through Lake Como. It did look like the car was a right handful heading through some of the corners. So, it could be a bit of a wrestling match here for Tamas Gal along these laps here around Spa. As typically you do tend to run quite low on the wings, I believe, around this circuit. So that's why sometimes the middle sectors might not be as lit up as you'd expect, as we just follow through with Tamas Gal through the La Fania chicane. Of course, just throwing the car in, getting it nicely turned in, and then heading down to Campus at the right-hander. Then, of course, Stavolo next, and we'll see what the second sector will be. A 130.159 there for Tamas Gal over the first and second sector split. So looking decent so far here for Tamas as he heads his way down to Blanchimon. Of course, not really much of a corner here in the F1 world. A bit of a move to the left, and then you're back in a straight line. Heading down towards the bus stop chicane, braking at the 100-metre board, get the car turned in, hop the curbs if you need to, and then, of course, run it wide on the exit up to the line. We'll see what that time will be from Tamas. 140.722.
Yeah, it's a far cry from what we saw at the beginning of last session. Almost 10 seconds quicker than some of the laps in Q1. Jack West has found himself in second position. Here's Brendan Lee to the line with a 1 minute 40.558. A nice time from him there. Up next, I believe it's not Duncan Hoffland. It is another black car of Ika Boehner to the line. 1 minute 41, a disappointing lap from him. Let's have a look at one of the Ferraris. It's John Evans, who's invalid on his run. A few more drivers now, Nathan. Coming through the final corners, Istvan Pukki has nestled himself into P5, but it seems like Brendan Lee, untouchable at the minute, although Barry Burmand is through the final few corners now. What is it going to be for the Iranian? He'll open up that DRS and come towards the line. A 1 minute 40.696 behind Alfie Butcher, behind Brendan Lee, former Kick Sauber teammates in Alfie Butcher and Brendan Lee, now teammates no more. and Brendan Lee gets first blood on his former teammate.
Of course. Also, a good lap there from Cian Godden up in the top 6, and Jack West as well up into the top 5. So a very interesting group we've got here tonight, or possibly going into Q3 and, of course, into the race. But, of course, we've still got 4 minutes to go. And at the moment, it is Johnny Tormala, Ika Vayana, Philip Presneder, John Evans, and Duncan Hoffland in the drop zone. And I've got to say, over Q1 and Q2, we haven't really saw the same Duncan as we normally see. He hasn't really been lighting up the times. He hasn't put in some, the best lap times at all. So certainly a surprise here from the young Dutchman. We normally expect to see him a little bit higher than where he has been over these the past session and a half.
Yeah, you'd expect Duncan Hoffland to be fighting it out in that top 5 alongside Brendan Lee, Alfie Butcher, and Barry Burham. And what a season of racing he has had thus far. I'm very excited to see where Duncan Hoffland can go from here. Of course, recently announcing his Aston Martin F1 esports seat. Of course, he was already racing in these colours before then. He was good friends with Fabrizio. I mean, he's been a part of the fold for a very long time. And as I said previously, it was the worst kept secret in the F1 sim racing world. But now everyone, Nathan, will be coming back into the pit lane. We've got just under 4 minutes of Q2 left to go. And Brendan Lee, he's doing a lot better than he did in Q1. He struggled in those wet conditions. It's good to see him, though, topping Q2.
Yeah, certainly a brilliant job here by Brendan Lee. Of course, his championship protagonists being Tom Manley, who's down in P9, Thomas Ronhar, who's at the back of the field, and then Jarno Opmeer, who isn't here tonight. And I think he's going to be taking a couple more weeks off, as I've heard he's only wanted to do only 2 races a week and not the 3 or 4 which he normally would be. So that's why we haven't seen that much of Jarno Opmeer over the past couple of rounds. But that's all good for Brendan Lee, as it puts him in even a better chance of taking that championship, or at least increasing it even more. The gap at the moment, just over 40 points. So it's been, pretty much brilliant here by Brendan Lee. I think every race bar 1 this season, he's been on the podium and having 2 wins in as well. So it's been superb, hasn't it? I'm sure he'll be very happy indeed.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan, you touched on Jarno Opmeer not being here and how everyone in the live chat is saying, where's Jarno, where's Jarno? I've just seen a name that I've not heard in a very long time. Where's Sally Saltunk? That is a throwback to the past. Where's Amos Lorito? Where is David Tanitza? Where is... I'm trying to think. There was one
Amos
driver.
is in tier 3 at the moment.
Who is?
Amos.
Is he actually?
Amos is in he's came back on this game. He's in tier 3.
Really?
Have you heard of Tatum Racing Team?
I have heard of Tatum Racing Team.
That's his team. Yeah.
I know that. I saw a post that they made recently, and Amos had his thing in the bottom. I thought he was just owning the team. I didn't know he was actually racing it. Welcome back, Amos. Then fair play to him.
WOR tier 3. I think he finished. I think it was this season. I think it was about P6, P7 in the standings, if I remember correctly.
Oh well, fair play to him. Yeah, where's Chembolok Bassi, former F2 driver as well? Of course, he raced in F1 esports way back when.
Isaac Hadjar.
I mean, he got IGK Zach 6.
Ben Zerner. Some names that really do take you back.
Oh,
even Connor over at the SGL.
Remember
back in 2017, he was in the semi-finalist bracket, I think.
He was Big C back in the day. Connor McDonough, where is he nowadays? Oh my God, there's loads of people.
I'm not going to read that name out.
Yeah, Otis. Nice one, Otis, mate. You just had to ruin the fun, didn't you? Where's Daniel Shields? Where's Graham Carroll?
Peace.
Oh my God, Martin Stefanko. This is fun. This is a lot of fun.
Takes us back, doesn't it?
I'm having a great time at the minute, but we do have drivers out on circuit. Enough waffling about who isn't here. Let's talk about who is here. Philip Presneder beginning his final run in Q2, way ahead of everyone else. I would assume this is Jack West behind him. It's not. It's not Jack West. It's another car in white. It's Alfie Butcher following in behind Philip Presneder. Judging by your reaction, Nathan, it didn't seem like he had the best run through turn number 1, but still plenty of joy left to be had on this lap for him. He'll open up the DRS and head down the Kemmel Straight, and he looks quicker than Tamas Gal. I think he's running maybe some lower wings than the Hungarian driver, getting onto the curb through the next right-hander. Of course, the quick chicane, and now at the top of the circuit at Malmedy, all downhill from here, and it is, of course, a very difficult corner in Rivage. Big lock up for Philip Presnader there in towards turn number 8 through turn number 9. So far, he's looking decent on this run as the clock is about to strike 0. Tom Manley is the last one to come across the line and begin his lap. And so everyone has got a chance at getting themselves into Q3 here.
Of course, and Philip would certainly love to be in the top 10 here after this session, so we'll see what he can do as he heads his way through the latter part of the second sector down towards campus at turn 14, and then to the end of the middle sector it will be a 4/10 improvements here for Philip Presnader. So currently looking for a 140.9. Of course, that will be right on the cusp of where Jake Benham is, so needs more time in the final sector if he would like to get his way through, possibly into Q3, but of course many cars behind and ahead of him have still got to set their next runs. So we'll see what can Presnader do as he heads his way down to the braking zone at the bus stop chicane, gets the car turned in nicely, gets back on the power early. What will it be here for Presnader? Up into P5, and it could be safe, but a lot of improvements will be happening behind.
Yeah, here's Alfie Butcher through the final corner now as the sun begins to peek through the clouds. What is it going to be for Alfie Butcher? He'll jump to the top of the order, improving by about a 1/10.5 over Brendan Lee. Well, on his previous best lap, he's up by about 0.02 of a second. Who is up next to come across the line? It is Ikebana in his car. Unfortunate P12 from him there. What about Jake Benham in the drop zone as it stands? What's it going to be for the All-Star himself into P8 and safe into the next session? There is Keaton Gondorp. A nice time from him. Tamas Gal will immediately jump him. Here's John Evans in that drop zone. What's it going to be for the Englishman? P3 for him. Will Lewis is out of this session. Duncan Hoffland needs to get a lap on the board. He'll jump up into ninth. Barry Burman to the top of the session. Yanni Tormala is out here. And then the final drivers to come across the line. Tom Manley will seal Duncan Hoffland's fate in this session. Missing out on Q3, Nathan, by just 0.03 of a second to Jake Benham, surviving by the skin of his teeth.
Of course, a big shame there for Duncan Hoffland indeed, and of course Yanni Tormala, Philip Presnader, Will Lewis and Ika Bayana all not making it through to Q3, and Brendan Lee will be quite happy that some of those didn't get the best improvements, as he had an invalidation and a mistake. I think it was heading at Estavolo, so he wouldn't complete that lap, and he went back into the pits, but still P7 will be enough for him to make his way through to Q3. But I've got to say, lap of the session there, Keane Godden up in the top 3. Normally a driver we see on the cusps of a Q2 and Q1 knockout, this time comfortably seeing his way through into the third part of qualifying, and could be an interesting one indeed. I mean, he's put his announcement out a couple of weeks ago, left Williams, and now he's up in the top 3.
Yeah, nice stuff there from Kean Gondorp. He is better than everyone aside from Barry Burman and Tamas Gal. Just 0.13 of a second separate them in Q2. Some incredibly close times. Look at how many drivers are on a 1 minute 40.5. Incredibly close qualifying session. But Duncan Hoffland, Yanni Tormala, Philip Presnader, Will Lewis and Ikebana are all out of Q2 here this evening. So we have the top 10 set, and you just got to ask the question, where is, I've got all the names of all the old drivers on my screen. Where's Kimi Larson? Anyone remember that man?
Ooh.
I don't know if anyone will remember Kimi Larson. I think he was only
2018,
here
wasn't he?
2018, just for one season. Yeah, I wonder what he's up to now.
Sounds like the name of a NASCAR driver, doesn't it? That Kimi Larson.
Yeah, Kyle Larson. I mean, that's
yeah.
It's a cross between Kimi Räikkönen and Kyle Larson, I do believe. But wow, yeah.
Oh, Manuel Biancalila.
Manuel Biancalila. I mean, keep these names coming. It's very nice to to reminisce on all the old drivers. Where's Tino Nälkärinen when you need him? You know, I think he won multiple constructors championships here in F1 sim racing. But wow, I mean, enough of reminiscing about the past. What a Q2 session that was. And I'll tell you what, I don't think we can waste any time getting into Q3. And you can see, Nathan, the conditions much better than what we saw at the beginning of Q1. The sun is shining on the circuit, and you've got to say the track now is as good as it's going to get.
It certainly is, and I mean, we'll have a really good fight for pole position. I think all the top 10 here have the chance to fight for it. But Dan, normally you ask me the question. I hate it when I get asked it, so I'll ask you this time. Who do you think is going to take pole position in this session?
Yeah, I'm not happy with that one. Not happy at all. But you know what? I will go on his return, because why the hell not? Alfie Butcher to to take pole position. And that's not because he's the first name on the screen when you actually look down the order. But I can see it in the back of my mind. Alfie Butcher for pole. Let us know, everyone, please, in the live chat, who you think is going to be taking pole position in this session. Unfortunately, my favourite pick, Will Lewis, he didn't make it into the final parts of qualifying. Very disappointed to say that. But yeah, please do, everyone, let us know. Nathan, who are you going for?
Ooh, I don't know. It's so hard. There's that many people that can take pole, but I'm going to go for a bit of a... and then that's probably not that suggested in the chat. I'm going to go with Jake Benham for pole.
Jake Benham for pole position. So you heard it here. My prediction, Alfie Butcher. Nathan's pick prediction, Jake Benham. 2 English drivers. And who is it going to be out of the pair of them? It could be another Englishman. Maybe it's John Evans. Maybe it's Brendan Lee, the championship leader. Manley. Tom Manley as well. I've seen a prediction for him in the live chat from Broken Britain. Dude Bob 74 is saying Graham Carroll for pole position. I think he's racing in... He was racing in ESL, I think, recently. I'm not too sure. I know he's still active, not in the F1 side of things. But yeah,
iRacing, isn't it?
iRacing. I don't know where he is. I'm seeing all the mechanics still jumping around on our screens. So yeah, we'll have a look at Tamas Gal now. Please do, everyone, keep those predictions coming in. We'll read out some more of them. Violent Game, hopefully I got that one right, says Kian Goldendorp. I'd imagine with a name like that, you got to be a Dutchman, if not German. So do apologise if I got that one wrong. Who else? We got Vlad saying Barry Burmand to take pole position. Gareth Davis is saying Tom Manley for pole. I think Hattis Val is saying Jack West is going to dunk 2/10 on everyone. The big dunk himself. Not in this session, unfortunately, but I do like the little play on words there. Jack West to take pole position. Interesting predictions coming out, and I tell you what, it's nice to see that there's a lot more variety than what we normally get. And of course, that's not nice to say due to the fact that Jan Ortmir is not here, and we do miss him. We love having Jan Ortmir on the grid and getting to interact with all of his lovely fans in the live chat. But it's good to see a little bit more variety today.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's always great to see, isn't it? Of course, a big shame that Yano isn't with us, but I'm sure he'll be back before the end of the season. As F1 BR says, John Evans. That's it. You know, it's a possibility. We've seen John, I think on the front row once this season, if I remember correctly. So it's definitely a possibility. I think we saw him take. Did he take a win this season?
No.
Or was it P2?
He was close to. I don't think he even finished on the podium in that race, but he was very.
I'm thinking of PSGLE series when he won in Silverstone, aren't I?
I'd imagine you are, Nathan. He did Abu Dhabi a couple of weeks ago. I think round number 3 that was, and he had a decent race there. He was actually very strong in qualifying alongside Barry Burman. The race sort of unravelled for the pair of them, but maybe today it could be different. The pair of them, of course, in Q3 now, and they'll be fighting it out for pole position. Here is Tamas Gal climbing up our Rouge and Radion, and now taking towards the Kemmel Straight. I suspect he's on some high wings. Some higher wings than some of the other drivers. Philip Prejnader looked a lot quicker headed down that straight than Tamas Gal does, but now in towards the second sector. This is where Tamas should shine in these dry conditions. These drivers are in their element, because no one, let's face it, no one practices in the wet weather conditions. It is all about the dry running, because that's what you're most likely to get here in WOR, here at Belgium, especially as now in towards Pouon for Tamas Gal, the triple apex left-hander. A fantastic corner to hook up absolutely perfectly. So many approaches that you can take with it as well, in through Lafania or Campos, depending on what you prefer. And now in towards this is Paul Frere, I believe. I don't know. No, I think that might be the wrong circuit. I think that's Stavelot.
No, it is there.
Oh, it is?
It's after Stavelot. It's a little kink to the right before Blanchimont.
Oh, right. Okay, so he's just gone through Stavelot, then Paul Frere, and now in towards Blanchimont. I'm remembering all the names of this circuit.
Oh, of course. And I mean, they are hard to keep up with. But just a quick thing on the top speed. I was watching through the drivers, and the highest car with top speed was Brendan Lee, who hit 337, and the lowest was Istvan Pukki, who hit 333.
Okay, so we'll see how all these times stack up. Jack West is coming up towards the line. A little bit of lag I don't know. I think that was Israel Fassi joining the lobby. That gave me a mini heart attack, to be completely honest with you. Here's John Evans through the final corner now. What's it going to be for the Ferrari driver? 1 minute 40.557. His teammate Barry Burman will be the next one to come across the line, followed by Isfan Pookie. Barry Burman to the top of the order with a 1 minute 40.277. Isfan Pookie finds himself in P4 with Tom Manley into 5th. Let's have a look at the final couple of drivers coming towards the line. Alfie Butcher into P2 onto the front row as things stand, and Brendan Lee gets himself into 4th position. So you know what? Fair play to Tamas Gao. I gotta say, the first driver to come across the line, he technically had the worst conditions. Of course, it's not really that important anymore here in these completely dry weather conditions. But Tamas Gao, with a little bit less grip than all the other drivers, a decent performance from him to go into 3rd.
Certainly, I was just on board with, well, I was watching Alfie Butcher as Jake Benham went into the gravel at turn 1. He went really deep into turn 1 and went into the gravel, so hopefully he's got no issues, but he's going to continue on and head back to the pit lane. But yeah, a brilliant lap there from Alfie Butcher up into 2nd place. Oh, Jake has a massive slide heading into Ravage corner. Certainly would have been a bit of a scary moment, and if it was a real lap there, that would certainly have been that lap over with. But what a lap time there from Barry Burman, a 10th.5 quicker than 2nd place. An absolute barnstorming time there from the Iranian himself at the top of the times. And I mean, that's going to be a hard one to challenge, won't it, then? 140.277.
Yeah, let's have a look at the gaps to Barry Burman at the minute. Alfie Butcher is the only driver on the grid who's been able to get within 2/10 of Barry Burman. And Nathan, just considering the results of last time out in Saudi Arabia, we know how close this grid is. And Barry Burman to be 2/10 ahead of anyone at the minute is a stellar lap from him. BB7, as they do like to call him. I've just had a look at his number. Of course, he always rocks the number 7. It's been made available to him ever since Kimi Räikkönen was not on the grid. But yeah, Barry Burman, a sensational lap time, and that is going to take some triumphing.
It certainly will, as we see all the cars heading back into the pits. And Alfie Butcher having a battle with someone into the pits there. Then that might have been Tom Manley. All phased through each other as they went back in. We have Keane Godin up as well, and Barry Burman to go back in. And then it's a bit of a 30-second wait before the cars head back out once again to start their final runs. Of course, the track being a little bit longer than others, you do see the cars tend to go out a little bit earlier than you would normally expect. So I'm expecting around 20 seconds we should see some cars heading out of the circuit, getting ready to begin their final run here in Q3, and we'll see who can take pole position. I mean, my guess is currently in P10, 7/10 off, so it's not been the best prediction from me today.
I mean, I'm all right. I'm actually fine. I picked Alfie Butcher, 2nd position at the minute. But of course, it doesn't matter if you're not on pole. And one thing I'm disappointed about, Nathan, is that Philip Presnader's not in this session, so we don't get to see his mechanics floating through the pit lane. I've seen some other ones throughout this session, so it's happening at every point. And if you took, like, I've just seen someone flying through the very top as John Evans is now out on circuit, the first one to begin his final lap. Bit early, I've got to say. 2.5 minutes left to go in this session, and John Evans is already out on circuit. Everyone else following swiftly behind, though. Alfie Butcher, Jack West is out on track as well. A lot of these guys coming up from the Xbox side of things. It's been a very long time since they've seen that platform. Tom Manley as well was on Xbox. Jake Benham has just come out the pit lane. In fact, I think all 5 of the first 5 drivers, Nathan, all started on Xbox, and they made their way to PC. Sort of that F1 2020 time when everyone jumped from the console to the PC side of things. Nice little throwback if you're an Xbox fan.
Yeah, we have got a lot of people from Xbox. I mean, we've got quite a few from PS, and I don't think there's that many drivers that started initially on PCs, or I think a lot of them did come from the console side. I mean, I can't think of many that started outright on PC. I mean, Otme was he on PlayStation back in his days?
I remember he used to race in PSGL way back on F1 2018, and in fact, he was season 25 PlayStation champion. Was Jarno Otme. I believe he started out on PlayStation. I know that Lucas Blakely did as well. I think that Brendan Lee might have started on PlayStation 2. A lot of these guys did begin their careers on the console side of things, and it's good to see that everyone now is on PC, which is, I gotta say, objectively the better platform to be on. And it's good to see now that we've sort of culminated 2 split communities. It certainly was 2 different communities back in F1, sort of in 2020 during lockdown, before everyone made the switch to PC at the beginning of 2021, and it's united everyone into one culmination, and it is now the result on your screens here. WOR PC Tier 1 Q3 here at Belgium, and we've got the final laps underway. John Evans is flying down the Kemmel Straight. We'll see his improvement as he approaches the end of the first sector, already down by 200ths of a second. Is this a sign of bad things to come for the Ferrari driver, currently in P5 on a 1 minute 40.557. Brendan Lee is the last one to come across the line and begin his lap with 10 seconds to spare. So we got to keep an eye out on the Kick Sauber driver and your championship leader here in WOR. The clock will now strike 0. No new laps can be started. Who will be the one to take the fight to Barry Burman, or will he extend his advantage? We'll find out in just over 1 minute's time. John Evans now in towards the end of the very technical second sector, down at Stavelot corner now, the very bottom of this circuit. John Evans is finding an improvement, but it is very slight at the minute. If he's got a good run through Paul Frere, he should be improving throughout every second that he is on Blanchimont now. The quick left-handed corner. You got to prepare yourself for the very, very heavy braking zone at the bus stop chicane. John Evans now taking to this final corner. What is it going to be for the Ferrari driver in Q3? He'll come across the line now and put himself on the front row alongside Barry Burman as things stand. Alfie Butcher, let's have a look at him as he comes across the line. Jack West has found himself into P4. This is my pick for pole position, and he gets on top by just 1,000th of a second. A great lap time from him there. Tom Manley up next. It's only P3 for him for now. What about Barry Burman as he heads through the final few corners now? What is it going to be for the Iranian driver? He just needs 1,000. Make that 17,000. Barry Burman to the line, 600ths quicker than Kian Godendorp in second position. What a lap time from the young Dutchman. Here comes Brendan Lee, the final driver to come across the line. And what is that? That's P6 for your championship leader, Barry Burman, on pole position, but an emphatic P2 on the grid for Kian Godendorp.
What a lap there from Kian Godendorp. First row of the grid here in WR T1. Absolutely superb. But of course, Barry Burman on that pole position with a 1:40.200. Then we have Alfie Butcher on his return in third place, followed by Tamara Schell and Tom Manley. Then championship leader Brendan Lee will be starting P6 behind, ahead of John Evans, Istvan Pookie, Jake Benham and Jack West at the back of the field. And only 2/10 separate the top 10 around the track, which is a 1 minute 40 lap time. That is still rather close indeed, but the top four, not even a 10th separated there, Dan. Absolutely brilliant there.
I mean, at the beginning of the session, the gap between Barry Burman and the rest of the field was what, 2/10 of a second, and now from first down to 10th, it was 2/10 of a second. So it got way closer at the end of that qualifying session. Barry Burman out qualifying Kian Godendorp by just 600ths of a second. We'll digest what's happened in qualifying in just a few minutes time. Nathan, if I'm not mistaken, we are still restarting. Okay, yeah, just making sure. I mean, it's my first week back in the new flat and everything. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very fresh here. We will see you in just a few minutes' time after a quick word from our sponsors. Welcome back, everyone, to the commentary box, the intermission room, if you'd like to call it that. We've just seen a fantastic end to qualifying there that saw Barry Burmand on pole position. But Nathan, we've got to talk about Kian Goldendorp in P2, starting on the front row of the grid. What a lap time from him.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I mean, like I said earlier on in the session, he's normally a driver we see going out in Q1 or, slightly getting his way through into Q2. But brilliant here from him to take that P2 spot here going into the race. I did see his message in the Discord. He said it was a PB split.
Wow.
But he messed up the last sector, so he did bottle pole, is what he said. But, of course, you're not normally used to being at the top. Of course, you're going to have a bit of nerves heading into those final couple of corners. But, of course, it'll be great to see what he can do from that second place position behind Barry Burman. But of course, right at the back, we've got some very big names. We've got the likes of Thomas Ronhard, Ishmael Fassi, and Nicholas Longe, all going to be working their way through the field, along with, I believe, Lenny Papinter as well. You're right there, Dan. I can see you on the screen having a bit of a cough.
You know when you drink water and it goes down the wrong way?
Oh, it's horrible, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, no, horrible.
Yeah, I've muted myself so no one can hear me in a little coughing fit. That's not snot, by the way, that you can see down the side of my nose. That's a scar that I have. So don't think I'm gross freak or whatever. I promise you, it's a scar from when I was very, very little. I fell down the stairs or whatever. I mean, the story is actually quite unclear to me, but yeah, no, I am all right though. Thank you very much for your concern, everyone, Nathan, and the people asking in the live chat. We are finally getting ready for this race, and one thing I'm excited to see is the drivers starting at the back, how far they can get up the order. Yeah. Nicholas Longe, Thomas Ronhar, Lenny Pepinter, and Ishmael Fassi, none of them qualified, and we'll see how they're able to do in the race.
Yeah, I mean, this track isn't the easiest track to overtake on, so I think that will be quite interesting to see where they're going to try and eye up some of those moves. And of course, the long DRS train, it makes it even harder, especially than some of those straights. So it's going to be, I think, a race for those at the back that relies more on skill of getting their way through the field. Of course, those at the front just need to rely on DRS and always a little bit of luck. That's the way it works around this circuit and on this game. If you're in the top 5, top 6, you got a bit of luck involved of, making your way through the traffic and just hoping that the person at the front has a bit of a poor exit and they lose 6 positions heading down a straight. That's the way it is on this game. So it's going to be a really interesting one here around Spa. Of course, the longest track on the calendar. So as I say, every single time we race at Spa, turn 1 around this circuit, you need to take it cleanly because you've got a long run back to the pit lane if you make a mistake or if you get a bit of damage on your car.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This circuit can be very, very punishing if you get any damage, especially on that front wing. In that second sector, I'm thinking of Pouon. I mean, I'm thinking of Lefania chicane. Those corners are very, very tricky to take when you've got a full front wing. So when you've got that wing damage, it is detrimental to your race. I'm losing my words. I'm all over the place today. Do apologise, everyone. I feel like I'm saying that every single time I'm here. I'm just, I'm just a rubbish commentator. Let's call it that. But getting ready for the race here. We've only got 22 laps of Belgium. And Nathan, this used to be, on the older F1 games, a instant soft medium, and of course when we got to F1 22 and F1 23, the softs, they're kind of not the better race tyre, but now on F1 24 it's really up in the air as to what the strategy actually is.
Yeah, I think we might see a few people go for a soft medium strategy, because it's only 22 laps. It's quite a short lap distance to go medium hard, so I think we will definitely see a few people in the softs. But like I said before, I'm not really a mastermind for strategy. I mean, it's going to be an interesting one indeed. I mean, I've done 2 league races this game around Spain and Cota, so that's as far as I get when I know strategy, and they were a 25 and a 35% race. So, strategy-wise, I've got no knowledge whatsoever.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see. These drivers, they know a lot more than you and I do. And I'm just an old head, honestly. I just like to think about the past. The peak of F1 game really was F1 2020. I'm sorry that you weren't here for it, Nathan. But league racing on F1 2020, when everyone was making the jump over to PC, what a time to be here. I
wasn't here then.
I know, and that's why I'm saying I'm sad for you, because you didn't get to experience that. But league racing is in a great place at the minute. I mean, you could say that we've got some great drivers on the grid at the very least. just needs a little bit of tweaks in the game, and then everything can get better. I'm having a look at the lobby. We've already got 19 drivers in, Nathan. Do you know who we're missing? Who is Jake Benham's in the lobby, so it's not him this time. Yep. Who is having the issues?
I'm trying to have a look through, but you kind of forget all the names, don't you? Tamas Gal's in, we've got Duncan Hoffland. Is Will Lewis in?
Will is in. Get in there, Will.
Oh. I don't have a clue then.
I'm lost.
Don't have a clue.
Let's have a little look in the Discord.
Even Luke's asking who we're missing.
Who are we missing at the minute?
Oh, someone's joined. It was Jack West.
Jack West. He's having his Greg sausage rolls from Iceland. That's what he's doing. Is
there a story behind that, Dan?
Oh, it's just a little thing. That was the one thing that he had to eat one day was 2 Greg sausage rolls from Iceland, and it just sticks with me. It sticks with me. It's hilarious when I found out that was all he had in one day, and he was really justifying it, trying to think that was a healthy diet. But
I mean, it would put me and Will Gibson to shame.
I mean, maybe you could all compare. You know, get in touch with Jack West at the end of this one. Talk about your favourite sausage rolls and whatnot. We're running out of things to say here, everyone, in the live chat. I hope everyone watching is having a good time at home. And we should be in it very, very soon. Now that Jack West is in the lobby, Nathan, that means that who's it? Isfan, our lobby host. Yeah, finally, might I say, Isfan can finally get to work with setting the grid tonight.
Yes, so hopefully in around 3-4 minutes max, we can. Dan?
Yeah, sorry, my camera's gone black and white again. Why is it? This has not happened in what feels like years at this point. I've not gone black and white. Why has this happened?
Well, at least you're not gone quiet and loud and quiet and loud.
It's all right
now. That's a good thing.
Oh,
that's weird. I mean, didn't it used to happen in PSGR with George?
It did. I don't know why. It's fine now. I think I just need to tab back into the game, and then it should work. But one thing I'm noticing in the lobby now, I've just got it like peeking through, so I can see the timer on my very small one monitor. We got 20 seconds, Nathan. We're heading into this race. Get in there. 22 laps of the Belgian Grand Prix. Barry Burman on pole position with Kian Goldendorp in second. You've got to say, around a circuit like this, Nathan, it's quite easy to find an overtake in that DRS zone. Of course, headed down in towards turn number 4 it is at the end of the Kemmel Straight at the chicane. That is where we're going to see the brunt of the overtakes today.
We certainly will. And now, Dan, we get to the bit that me and you love the most, which is sitting here and waiting for everything to get underway, because we have this little loading screen, and then I don't even know why we have to wait so long anymore. But sometimes, on the odd occasion, I do hear a bit of a beep at the end, like the beep, 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 which we used to have back on the F122 game. Yeah. So sometimes I have a bit of a slight indication of when we're going. But out of all the things they removed and added, why did they get rid of that countdown timer at the top? It was perfect, wasn't it? It was a saviour for us.
It was so handy to have back in the day. I miss it. Every single day.
You miss the small things, don't you, sometimes?
You really do, because we get to make a fool of ourselves getting ready for the start of the race. But now we can bring you over to the game scene, and you can see it is nice, clear, sunny blue sky here in Belgium. A far cry from what we saw in the first qualifying session. Q1 torrential rain that was. Now nice and dry. Nathan, please can you check for me in the on the live feed? Are we here in the
yes,
the
we
race?
Are.
Get in there. So,
and we got most people down on the hards. A bit of information before we go in. A couple on the mediums.
Most drivers starting on the hards. A few on the mediums. Oh yeah, you're looking at the race race director.
Yeah. Oh, they've all gone hards now.
Okay, so we're gonna have a cookie cutter start here in Belgium. The 5 red lights are on now. And we are underway, not held for very long, as Barry Burman gets a great launch in towards that first corner. Down at La Source, Kian Goldendorp trying to go around the outside. He'll be run out of room as he's forced onto the curbing as they file their way down in towards Eau Rouge and Radion. It's been a good start from Barry Burman, but Kian Goldendorp is pressurising him as they climb up the hill for the very first time in this race. All 20 drivers are on a set of the hard compound tyre, and here they come down the Kemmel Straight for the very first time. Alfie Butcher looking to defend from a few drivers behind. Tom Manley is making a move on Tamas Gal. They fan out in towards turn number 4, and it seems like Barry Burman, he's got the best start of them all as Kian Goldendorp comes under pressure.
Oh, and a brilliant move there from Tamas Gal up into third place ahead of Alfie Butcher, who has to go around the outside down at Ravage. Further back as well, Brendan Lee fighting with his closest championship rival, Tom Manley. Brendan Lee gets the overtake complete and now moves up into P5. John Evans as well, looking to have a battle with, that'll be Istvan Pukki, who drops back behind Jack West as well. So they head their way through P1 on lap 1 of 22. I mean, it's been a clean start, but it's been, a start full of battles on these opening couple of corners. Looking further back as well, we've got Philip Presnoja looking for some moves ahead of Duncan Hoffland as we head our way through into the right-handers.
Yeah, the top two have remained as they are. Tamas Gal has got ahead of Alfie Butcher. Brendan Lee has got through on Tom Manley. Jack West up 2 spots from where he started on the grid today. It's been a good getaway for the young Welshman. See how this race unfolds as we're coming towards the end of the first lap. Tom Manley looking to defend from John Evans. Istvan Pukki going back on the attack around the outside. Oh dear, he's off the circuit there, trying to go for the move on Jack West. He'll rejoin the circuit in a very bad spot. I think actually that was further back behind some of the drama that we've witnessed. What is going on at the end of the first lap? We're on lap number 2 now of 22. It seems like everything's kicking off further back behind.
Yeah, Philip got sent half sideways into the bus stop chicane and kind of paused everyone in their tracks. And also a bit of a message in the chat as well from Jona Martin saying that Nico's wheel didn't work. So that's why at the start of the race he was over a second back from the field, but he's caught himself back up now as we go. Oh my, that was a big start there from, I think it was Johnny Tormler heading up the hill and nearly went round after a bit of contact and ended up on the grass. So those at the back having a right little old scrap, but looking further ahead here, Jack West on the back of Duncan Hoffland, who's had a really good start now, up into P8 after being down in P11 after Q2. So he's looking to try and score some decent points as well, and still at the back, it's still going really, what's the word, hell to leather there between some of the drivers. Of course, Ishmael Fassi looking to find a move up into P13 and can't do so just yet, but has had a decent start on those hard tyres. Now, unfortunately, we've seen Will Lewis drop back a little bit from where he started earlier on.
Yeah, what a start from Ishmael Fassi, up 6 spots in this Grand Prix so far. Icabeno has also had a brilliant getaway, so it seems like the Spanish drivers have had a fantastic start to this race. How will that continue as this race progresses on? Alfie Butcher closing to the back of Tamas Gal, headed through Blanchimont they go. Can Alfie Butcher size up a move in towards the bus stop chicane? It seems like he's going to back off here, and Tamas Gal will remain in that position as they head into the heavy braking zone now. Alfie Butcher happy to remain in P4 for the time being. Of course, DRS was enabled last time by. Now they're going to get a taste of it down the start-finish straight for the very first time. But of course, headed up the hill and through the Kemmel Straight, that is where we're going to see some potential moves shaping up. And you got to think Barry Burman, he'll be looking in his mirrors constantly headed down this straight, but he's done a good job of actually stretching that advantage to Kian Goldendorp, Nathan. 5/10 is what separates them for the time being. Kian will be able to close that up using the DRS and a slight bit of the battery, and he'll close in towards turn number 4, but he doesn't want to go for the move. The intentions, Nathan, have been made very, very clear. Kian Goldendorp wants to let Barry lead.
Yep, he certainly does. I mean, Tamas Gal there was looking for a move, backed off at the final moment there behind Keane, so he wasn't really in the position to make any sort of lunges into the chicane, so he stays back in third. And I've got to say, it's been a brilliant start here by Tamas Gal. Normally a driver we see dropping back after the first couple of laps, but he's up in P3 now, doing a decent job behind Keane and ahead of Alfie. As we do see at the back there, Nicholas Longate making a move ahead of Lenny Pepinta for P19. Certainly not been the race that those two would have wanted, well, not the race start those two would have wanted here, down in P19 and 20 after only 3 laps here around Belgium. Of course, looking further back as well, Ishmael Fassi still looking to try and eye up that move on Philip Presnoja, and as Ika Bayena as well, starting to drop back a little bit there from Jake Benham, who unfortunately is outside of the points as we head our way through Blanchimont corner yet again and down to the bus stop chicane. And we'll see when Alfie Butcher's going to look for an attack here. As he goes to the outside of Tamas Gallant, goes off the road for a moment. I think he didn't quite expect Tamas to brake so early there, as Brendan Lee now is on his rear.
That was a good job though from Alfie Butcher to not sail into the back of Tamas Gal there. He did a great job of avoiding the rear of that Haas liveried Tamas Gal F1 World Car. I'm trying to get my words out here. But yeah, Alfie Butcher, great evasive maneuver there. Could have been disastrous if he didn't get out the way of Tamas Gal as they held up the hill for the 4th time in this race. And even though the lap is so long around this circuit, it doesn't feel all that much longer than what we normally get at like Austria. So this race always does to me feel very, very quick as Kian Goldendorp makes his way into P1. He's through on Barry Burman. Not much of a defense put up by the Iranian driver. He's happy to let Kian go through. Tamas Gal, he's got the best seat in the house. He's sitting in 3rd. He can let the 2 leaders scrap, and then when the time is right, emerge from the shadows and try and take that lead.
Of course, a brilliant move by Kian Goldendorp. As you do see, Ismail Fassi still stuck behind the back of Philip. Those went side by side through turn 9 at Jackie's corner. A brilliant little battle there between those two as they continue on. Of course, lots of battling throughout the whole of the field here. Everyone all the way down to P20 is in the same DRS train, so that's why we don't always see too many moves as they're all stuck in that train. As Ika Baena gets a penalty for multiple warnings there. A big shame for him that, you know, drops into provisionally to the back of the field. So this is the last thing that Ika Baena would have wanted, and it's the last thing that anyone wants when you're in a train like this. Being given a penalty is so horrible because it normally drops you outside the points if you're in a points-paying position, as we do. So yet again, Alfie Butcher to the outside of Tamas Gal. Tamas has to go to the inside to defend it. Alfie back up the inside as they head their way through the final corner. Down to turn 1 we go. Alfie Butcher looking to try and take 3rd. Tamas Gal's going to have the inside line. Down to La Source corner. We'll see who takes that 3rd place. And I think Alfie there backed off and kind of let Tamas through.
Oh, Alfie Butcher, I mean, he tried to go for that move, but Tamas Gal very stoic in his defense. But Alfie could now catch him up the hill. Both of them have used up their battery. Alfie Butcher, not much resources left to deploy, and he might have to look to his rear at Brendan Lee, possibly mounting a challenge. Here he comes, the championship leader on his former Kicks Alba teammate, looks to the inside line, and Brendan Lee makes his way up into P4 in this Grand Prix. An opportunistic move from the 2-time F1 Sim Racing champion, gets himself ahead of Alfie Butcher. Tamas Gal, the catalyst of that all. His strong defense put Alfie Butcher off and left him vulnerable to Brendan Lee's attack.
Of course, Alfie certainly won't be too happy with that one there, dropping down a position after at one point being up a position into those podium places as we head our way through P1 and down towards the Lafania chicane. And of course, at the front yet again, it's still Kian Goldendorp that has the race lead ahead of Barry Burman in 2nd place and Tamas Gal in 3rd, but I'm sure Brendan Lee will be knocking on his door soon to try and move his way up into the top 3 places. Of course, our top 2 in the championship, separated by over 40 points, sit P4 and P6. So yet again, Brendan Lee will be extending that championship lead, and it's been such a good season so far here by the, I'd say young Englishman, but compared to some of the drivers on the grid, he's quite rather old now, isn't he?
I mean, Brendan Lee was, I think, quite young when he first won his championship, but that was 7 years ago now, which is very, very hard to believe. I think he's about 24, maybe 25,
yeah.
Brendan Lee is. So he's not an old man, but compared to the drivers on the grid, he certainly is older, as Ismail Fassi, one of the youngest drivers on the grid, gets through on Philip Presnader. Down the inside, oh dear! Contact with the driver in front. That was Ismail Fassi. Yeah, it was Nathan. Cheers. That's
and
him.
Ronhar.
Yes. And Thomas Ronhar, Ismail Fassi down the inside. He's making, he's hit Ika Baena on the inside there, going for the move on Philip Presnader, and of course down in towards turn number 1. Meanwhile, Barry Burman, he'll make the move for the lead, but in towards that first corner, the wall is right up against the apex of the corner, and so Ismail Fassi squeezed against that. Thomas Ronhar nowhere to go. Ismail Fassi, disastrous for his race.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I mean, once he got span into the wall and clipped by, I think it was Presnader, we had Thomas Ronhar get stuck behind him, and that's a reverse out and move around. So that's his race all done and dusted as well here, as we did see there Alfie Butcher get a penalty and also lose a position. It's gone from bad to worse here for Alfie Butcher. Of course, is up in 3rd, fighting with Tamas Gal, now defending from John Evans behind us. John did have a bit of a look down to Ravage, but couldn't quite get the car up the inside to make a move in his Ferrari. So certainly Alfie not going to be too happy. But then again, guys, a quick reminder in the chat, this is Alfie's first race on this game, so it's you know, it's been a decent start considering them have had many. Oh my god, John Evans That was a send and a half, and luckily it didn't end with him in the wall.
He's still going for it though. John Evans looking to the outside line at the bus stop chicane. Alfie Butcher will try and break very, very late to defend that position. John Evans now with the inside line through the final corner. He will solidify this move. Alfie Butcher though still side by side as they head in towards that first corner. Looking back up the inside. John Evans trying to give him the squeeze in towards that corner. They go. Alfie Butcher will lose out on that position. P7 for him there. John Evans making up that move as Alfie continues his steady decline in this race. Ishmael Fassi will retire in the pit lane at the beginning of lap number 7. Here now is Duncan Hoffland looking at the back of Alfie Butcher and John Evans as they head 3 wide in towards the end of the Camel Straight. It looks like Duncan Hoffland will get the pair of them. Istvan Pukki trying to find a way in 3 wide as they enter the chicane now. Duncan Hoffland makes 2 into 1. Alfie Butcher gets back through on John Evans, who loses 2 positions in that fight there.
I mean, and Duncan Hoffland has proven yet again that race pace is his forte, of course. Started P11, already into P6 after 7 laps. That's pretty much a position a lap. And, you know, I think we've seen races in the past where he started in the bottom 5 and finished on the podium as Duncan Hoffland. So a brilliant job so far here by the Dutchman as we head our way through to the Lafanya chicane here. Lap 7 of 22. Tamas Gal is our race leader ahead of Barry Borman and Cian Gudendorp in the top 3 with Brendan Lee right behind here, looking to hunt for a podium place, along with Tom Manley, who got that move ahead of Butcher earlier on, and now sits right on the back of Brendan Lee. This might have a bit of a battle down towards the bus stop chicane, but no, Brendan Lee burns a bit of battery and keeps that P4, unless he's going for a move possibly ahead of Cian Gudendorp here down for P3.
Yeah, meanwhile, further back behind is Van Pookie. He's through on John Evans, but John Evans not going to be taking that one lying down. And in fact, Van Pookie is going up the inside of Alfie Butcher now. So he made one move through Blanchemont, now attempting it through the bus stop chicane. Van Pookie getting very racy at the beginning of lap number 8. Here's Jack West on the attack on John Evans. John steadily falling back down the order after he made the move on Alfie Butcher. He lost that position last time out. He lost 2 spaces, lost 3 places last lap by, and now he has to defend from Jack West. So it's gone from good to bad, and now possibly worse for John Evans, as Jack West to the outside line at the beginning of the Camel Straight will make that position up. And there is Barry Broman through on Tamas Gal to take the lead of this race.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened at all to John Evans. He lost that one position and then kind of just fell like a stone down to P10. So I'm not sure there what happened to John. As you do see a move there from Pookie up the inside of Butcher into towards Ravage. A brilliant move there. But Alfie Butcher has the inside and gets that move complete as they head through Jack Eakes' corner down to Pouon. These two having a nice little battle here at the moment. Of course, Alfie Butcher in P7, but with a penalty will drop him right outside the points down to possibly P13, P14. So, of course, he's still going to fight to his heart's content, but certainly not in a position here to be fighting for many points in the field, as we see further back as well. John Evans looking to try and close back in onto Jack West as they head their way through Stavalo and through towards Paul Frere here, turn 16. Further ahead as well, Tom Manley looking to make a move ahead of Brendan Lee. But, of course, Brendan is right on the rear of Cian Gudendorp. He's looking possibly to make a send ahead of the Dutchman here as we head our way down to the bus stop chicane. You can see there Cian trying to break a little bit later to stop Brendan Lee from making an attack, and they head through, and Brendan Lee stays in P4. But of course, a man like Brendan Lee, the experience he has, he isn't really going to be fighting so hard for positions now. He can wait till a little bit later in the race to get those positions.
Yeah, he reminds me a bit of Faker. Brendan Lee does, the GOAT of League of Legends, of course. He's got his early success, and now he's sort of come back to reclaim his crown in the most recent seasons. In fact, T1 won last year. We'll have to wait and see if Brendan Lee is going to win this year. I just like to make comparisons between all the other esports. The nerd in me loves to come out here in WOR, as there is Cian Gudendorp through on Tamas Gal, through on Barry Burman. There, Tamas Gal looking to retake the position on Barry, and there it is, Barry Burman. Wow, down in towards Malmedy corner they go. Tom Manley, that's him, going for the move on Brendan Lee down the inside for Tom Manley. I think Brendan was put off by Barry Burman sliding through Malmedy, side by side through Jackie X corner, and now in towards Pouon they go. Tom Manley surely has to back off there, but Brendan Lee with his compromised line, taking that inside, it could open up an avenue for an attack from Tom Manley. You have to sit back for the time being. Nice defense there from Brendan Lee, and you've got to give kudos to Tom Manley for going for that move.
Yep, certainly a great send there from Tom Manley. Tried to get that move complete, but couldn't quite do it at the end. But also we can see further behind as well, Duncan Hoffland's here with a full battery, looking to close it and possibly make some moves as well. As we do see Tamas Gell head side by side with Keane Godendorp. They're both going to go side by side. Barry Burman sitting there waiting for something to happen to see where he'll be positioned as they head their way back down to turn one after this final corner. Keane Godendorp has lead ahead of Tamas Gell. We do see Brendan Lee looking for a move here for third place ahead of Barry Burman. Down to the final corner, down to turn one we go. Keane Godendorp has the DRS now ahead at Tamas Gell, and we've got Barry Burman back up into second place. Brendan Lee and Tom Manley, a big send into turn one. I think taps the back of Burman there, but still down in P5 as we do see Istvan Pukki as well looking to get involved. Dan, what battle we have here on lap 10 and 22?
Tom Manley all over the rear of Brendan Lee as they climb up the hill at the beginning of lap number 10. Here they go down the Kemmel Straight for the 10th time in this Grand Prix, and surely we're going to see some three-wide action for the lead. Keane Godendorp having to defend from Tamas Gell and Barry Burman in towards the chicane they go. Meanwhile, Tom Manley couldn't quite find the move on Brendan Lee. Tamas Gell reclaims the lead of this Grand Prix ahead of Barry Burman. Keane Godendorp composed under pressure as Duncan Hoffland sends it up the inside down at Rivage. A little bit of an angsty move there from Duncan Hoffland, but he made it work on Tom Manley. One of them had a big slide through the mid-apex of that corner, but it has resulted in Duncan Hoffland taking the position away from Tom Manley down into P6.
Of course, it's John Evans there looking for a move around the outside of Jack West into the chicane. Couldn't quite get that move done and gets shuffled out wide, and now brings Nicholas Longuet into the equation to try and get involved with this battle. And the mad thing is, you're sitting here watching Nicholas Longuet, you think, God, that's a big train, but the cars ahead of him are the leaders. That's how close this train is, as we do see. Petronio's out! He's out of the race, and that'll be a virtual safety car. Surprised to see no actual safety car out. That is a surprise indeed, but not sure what happened there. I think it was contact with Pinter, possibly.
I don't know. Maybe through Paul Frere, it's very easy to lose the car, and as I just said, you've got to come into the pit, and this is where things gets a little bit dicey because everyone is coming into the pit lane. Over half the grid is now into... Okay, the entire grid is into the box. Who is going to be double stacking? Who is going to be left for worse? Tamas Gell, he sees no such issues. He's back out onto the circuit. They're all getting their cars serviced. DRS has been re-enabled, and we are back racing all 18 drivers in the pit lane. Jack West has been held. Tamas Gell will come out in the lead of this race. I think Tom Manley got held up as well. He is now down into P11 in this race. Jack West, he was held up too, and I think that might just be it of all of the sort of lead runners that have really suffered here. It has caused a massive rift in the field. We're not as close as what we were at the beginning stint, but Tamas Gell still leading ahead of Barry Burman. Keane Godendorp in P3. Seems like the top 5 for the most part, they all remain as they were.
Yep, and I believe, if I'm correct, everybody has gone onto a set at the medium tire. So strategy-wise, there's absolutely nothing. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to the end, but we've got no one on older or newer tyres than anyone else. So that makes that part a bit less interesting. This could be an intriguing one indeed, but I'm sure as the laps go underway more and more, we'll see the cars start to close back up again a little bit more. We can see as well Duncan Hoffland already on the rear of Brendan Lee, who's on the back of Keane Godendorp, and they'll all catch up shortly once that DRS gets enabled and the cars start to slow down behind each other because they don't want to make those moves for the lead. But Tamas Gell is in the best position at the moment, in the lead of the Grand Prix ahead of Barry Burman, and like we said before, it's been a brilliant race here for Tamas, considering normally he drops back in the Grand Prix, but so far he's been quite comfortable in the top 3 positions here, as he's currently still in first, defending from Barry Burman as Keane Godendorp closes back in slowly.
Yeah, they should all sort of bunch back up together. I think the main thing to think about here is that John Evans is now 1.3 seconds behind Alfie Butcher, and then he's 1.3 seconds ahead of Philip Presnader. So John is going to have a difficult time actually keeping up with the top 7 in this Grand Prix because he's not going to have any benefit of the DRS, and he's got no one behind him to then overtake him and give himself DRS. So John Evans in no man's land a little bit, and this is when the top 7 actually need to take this race by the horns and really try and pull away. And now, of course, with the tyre strategy not really meaning anything, it means I can turn it off and we get a little bit more screen to see all of the drivers fighting it out, like Barry Burmand, who's just taken the position on Tamas Gao. Further back behind, Nicholas Longe through on Philip Preschneider. It's good to see him now making his way into the top 10, benefiting from Tom Manley and Jack West getting held up, Nathan, and we'll see what he can do. He's within a second of his Ferrari teammate in John Evans, and maybe, I wonder if some tactics going to come into play with Barry Burman potentially. Ooh. Could he back up the pack?
I have a feeling, Dan, that Jake Burnham's disconnected because I think his AI driving the car. Otherwise, he's just driving at a very slow pace.
That doesn't look... I don't know. It normally goes ghosted if it's an AI car. So I think Jake Benham might be suffering with some issues, possibly. He is way down in 18th position. What a race this could have been for him. He started, of course, in the top 10 in this Grand Prix. We're having a look at the positions gained at the minute. Nicholas Longe, the biggest winner of them all. But shout out, Nathan, to Duncan Hoffland, starting this race in 11th position. Now in P5, on the precipice of a podium.
Yeah, absolutely amazing here from Duncan Hoffland, as well as Istvan Pukki as well, sitting just behind us. They head their way down to turn 1. Barry Burman takes the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, with Tamas Gao in second place, and Kian Goldendup still in a position for a podium. But of course, Brendan Lee, we cannot count him out as well of a top 3 position. Of course, at the moment, his championship rival Tom Manley down in P11. And obviously P8 is off the train by a second, so I think Tom Manley hasn't really got much of a chance of finishing any higher than P8 in this race. So Brendan Lee has got to make sure he can capitalise. As we do see further back there, Pukki looking for a move, and Hoffland, oh my, that was a late send, and luckily didn't catch Brendan Lee, because I could have jinxed that one there a little bit.
I was on board with Duncan Hoffland there. I jumped out my seat a little bit. Now it's Van Pukki's on the attack through Rivage, and this is exactly what the drivers from 8th downward want to see. Drivers in the top 7 scrapping it out and losing time, because you can see the power that the DRS train has. Nicholas Longe is now 2.3 seconds to the rear of 7th position. John Evans was 1.3 seconds back, so essentially over the course of about 2 laps they've lost a second due to not having the benefit of the DRS. But if they keep fighting like they have been just now, maybe that could all change as this race continues on. We're past the halfway point. We're coming towards the end of this Grand Prix. Everyone essentially got a free pit stop, and so it is just clear cookie cutter medium tyres towards the end of this race.
And it'll be quite interesting to see what positions the drivers will end in, because no one's in an advantage or a disadvantage down to tyres, so it's all down to skill here of the drivers as we head our way down to the bus stop chicane once again. Of course, Brendan Lee in 4th, looking just to close in on the back of Kian Goldendup and try and extend his championship even more. At this current moment, the championship gap had increased by 12 points, so you're looking at what, over 50 points in the championship, which is absolutely brilliant here for Brendan Lee. Of course, a great championship charge at the moment, and I mean, at this point in the season here, if Brendan Lee just keeps finishing in the top 5 consistently, I can't see anyone beating him here at all.
No, I think he has already done his work for the season. He still wants to go on the attack on Kian Goldendup, who's going for the move on Tamas Gao, but he can't find that move. He can't find that move at all, as Brendan Lee will sail his way up into P3 ahead of Kian Goldendup, who tried to take the attack on Tamas. Now he's paying the price for it. He's lost the position to Duncan Hoffland. Could be at the mercy of Istvan Pukki. In towards Jackie X corner they go, approaching Puon. Istvan Pukki, he's a madman up the inside of Kian Goldendup. Contact between the pair of them. They bang wheels through Puon corner they go. Istvan Pukki makes that position in some very controversial circumstances. I think the moral code inside of Istvan Pukki, that will be screaming at him to give that position back to Kian Goldendup. That was very forced, and I think Istvan Pukki, he'll land himself in some hot water if Kian doesn't get that one back.
Yeah, Kian will be angry with that one as Alfie Butcher goes through there. Into P6 goes Alfie Butcher, and what a dismal lap that has been there for Kian Goldendup. Was, fighting for second down to turn 6. Brendan Lee got the move and has now dropped down to P7. This is the last thing that Kian would have wanted going into this Grand Prix. I think for the position he's in anyway, P7 is perfect for him. It's a brilliant result, but considering he was up in P2, this is the last position he wants to be in, and also because of all that battling, it's allowed John Evans to just about get within a second. It's going to be
So
close.
close.
Just within a second of
He's
Keane
got
as
it.
they head up the hill. So that gap was what, 2 seconds? It's now just over 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I think John Evans just about got DRS. No, he didn't. John Evans without DRS headed down the Kemmel Straight. Nicholas Longe should be able to just overtake his Ferrari teammate and try and close that gap to Kian Goldendorp, but that is a lifeline for those outside the top 7 because now the gap has been bridged. Nicholas Longe is within a second of Kian Goldendorp and they can enter this lead train. You really do have to feel for Kian Goldendorp. What a qualifying lap from him to put himself into P2. He's had the composure throughout the entirety of this race. 14 laps of fighting for the lead with Barry Burman and Tamas Gal, and you've got to feel it's all been a waste at this point. Istvan Pukki, he was within his rights to go for the move, but if you're going up the inside at such a fast corner like Puon, when you're behind Kian Goldendorp, who did his best to give Istvan the room. I don't think Istvan was squeezed at all, Nathan, to the inside. I think Kian gave him the room. Istvan got the corner a little bit wrong, carried a little bit too much speed, and just understeered into him, then used Kian as a brake. And I think the stewards are going to be a little bit busy after that one. Kian's not going to be happy. Istvan probably knows that what he did there was just a little bit naughty.
Yeah, definitely. But I suppose it's those things that happen in racing, doesn't it? You know, if it's deemed as bad enough, he could get a penalty. But of course, if it doesn't get reported, then he'll continue on and finish in that top 5. So we'll see what happens afterwards, after the race. But of course, still a decent job indeed to get Istvan up into that P5 position as we head our way down through to Eau Rouge and Radion. Once again now, we'll see what moves can be made. I mean, Istvan here is right on the back of Duncan Hoffland, so we could see a P4 move here by Pukki as we head our way down to the Lacombe chicane. Of course, further ahead there, Tamas Gal looking to make a move and takes the lead back away. No, he sticks behind. Brendan Lee will go for a send, but has to back out, and because of that, that put Tamas Gal into a position to make the move into the lead, and now goes ahead of Barry Burman and Brendan Lee. God, that was a scary one indeed, bro. I think we've seen that this race, the lunges some of the drivers have been making that have turned out to be fake lunges, have been interesting indeed.
Oh my god, I mean, this race really is heating up on lap number 16 of 22. We are getting to the final laps of this race. We'll see what happens. Who is going to come out with the win? I mean, Brendan Lee has now found himself in the podium places. Didn't finish in the top 3 for the very first time last time out in Saudi Arabia, but he's looking to get himself back on the podium and back into the interview room. It's been way too long, Nathan, since we've had a chat with Brendan Lee. I'm excited to talk to him once again, but of course we have got plenty of challengers outside the podium positions because there is Duncan Hoffland, there's Istvan Pukki, there's Alfie Butcher with a penalty granted that could get removed. Of course, pending any stewards' inquiries, Kian Goldendorp is still in the fight. Nicholas Longe, John Evans, Brendan Lee going for the move on Barry Burman around the outside at the bus stop chicane. Brendan's going to make that move stick side by side as they exit the corner. And now Duncan Hoffland looking to go around the outside and towards turn number 1. It could be an audacious move from him. He'll switch to the inside line. Barry Burman going back up the inside of Brendan Lee. And here is Duncan Hoffland arriving onto the scene as they climb Eau Rouge and Radion for the 17th time. Nathan, fireworks will spark here on the Kemmel Straight.
They certainly will. What a battle we've had so far here with these drivers for first down to 5th as we do see Brendan Lee going to the outside here of Tamas Gal, but of course might be blocked here by the young Hungarian before they hit the braking zone. Burman has to go a little bit deeper to try and keep that second place. We've got Pukki and Hoffland as well having their little battle as we head our way through, and no positions were swapped as we head our way down to Ravage, unless Pukki wants to go for a move around the outside of Hoffland. He tried to go for it, but wasn't quite alongside enough there as they went into the braking zone. But still, it's Tamas Gal with the lead ahead of Barry Burman, ahead of Brendan Lee in 3rd place. And we've seen some superb battling so far, Dan. And the fact of how close these drivers have been to each other just shows how good they are at racing, because if that was in any of the tiers, I'm sure we would have seen a few collisions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I winced a little bit at Brendan Lee braking later. I think he was a bit fearful of what happened there, and it reminds me of a Fernando
Longe.
Oh yeah, well, what's happened with Nicholas Longe? I mean, he's up the inside of Kian Goldendorp in towards Paul Fred. Doesn't seem like he's going for the move this time by, but Kian now beginning to struggle to keep pace with the leaders. He's now 4 tenths to the rear of Alfie Butcher. He'll close that gap through Blanchimont. They go, but Nicholas Longe, he smells blood in the water. I wonder, would he go for it this time by? Kian look to actually defend to the inside line as they head through the bus stop chicane. Brendan Lee having to defend from Duncan Hoffland as they head down the main straight, and Istvan Pukki as well getting involved in the fray. There he is down the inside line. Little bit of damage to Istvan Pukki's car. He has chipped off his front left end plate, and that is going to be detrimental in the last couple of laps in this Grand Prix. How can he do to keep with the DRS train? Can he use that to his advantage and just stick within the crowd? It's going to be a struggle for the last few laps for Istvan Pukki.
It certainly will. That is the last thing that Istvan Pukki would have wanted heading into the final 4 laps. As we do see Ron Haar making a move ahead of Baena, and will Lewis move his way up into P12 there. There's a bit of a glitch there for Pukki heading through Lay Common. A little bit wide there from Godendorp. Makes a move ahead of Butcher. One of them gets sent a little bit wide. Butcher goes late into Ravage, gets that P6 back, but Keane Godendorp breaks later, heads side into Jackie. It's corner. Who will take that P6? Butcher sends Keane off the circuit. Godendorp drops back a couple of positions down to P10. A little bit naughty there from Alfie. Butcher pushes Godendorp wide and allows the 2 Ferraris to go up into P7 and P8. And now Longuet on the attack, looking to get up into P6. Remember, he started down, I think, in P18. He's now up in the top 7. This has been a brilliant race from Nicholas Longuet, who's gone up the inside and had to back out and nearly got a bit of damage.
He went into the back of Alfie Butcher there, at least on my screen. Now he's all over the rear of Alfie Butcher with a penalty to his name. Alfie Butcher, I mean, it's his first race on F124 and he's right into the fire very, very early on. You've got to feel for Keane Godendorp once again, a victim of another move that has gone awry as Alfie Butcher is up the inside of Istvan Pukki in towards the bus stop chicane, beginning lap number 19. And someone who's been very, very quiet in all of this has been Tamas Gal. He has been happy to just lead this race, let everything burn behind him, and he's just chilling, leading this Grand Prix. But I feel at some point he is going to have a target on his back as Alfie Butcher gets through on Istvan Pukki. Nicholas Longuet looking to make that one stick. If he went up the inside through Eau Rouge and Radion, I would have ended stream right there and then, as Nicholas Longuet all over the rear of Istvan Pukki. Doesn't seem like he'll go for the move, but someone who will is John Evans. Nathan, this is some fantastic scrapping. Down the Kemmel Straight they go.
It certainly is, and Pukki looking to go for a move ahead of Butcher, but of course damage for Pukki will really put him with some understeer heading through some of these corners. They lock wheels as they head their way through Malmedy down to Ravage. Longuet's got the inside line on Pukki. Pukki has to... Oh, he went for a move on Butcher, and Longuet luckily didn't get caught up. Gets a bit of a tap, I think, from his teammate heading through into Ravage. And what a battle we got here, but look, they've lost the lead train. Yeah,
Alfie Butcher sliding through the exit of Ravage, and that has lost him DRS to the top 4. And so Istvan Pukki, Nicholas Longuet, all of this effort really is just hampering their chances for the win of this race. Istvan defending so hard in towards Lafania. He's well within his rights to do so, but Nicholas Longuet, who'll be swearing beneath that purple helmet, that beautiful helmet that is strapped onto his French head, as now through Blanchimont they will soon approach. Nicholas Longuet, he is so close. He's been sniffing this move for a very, very long time. Istvan Pukki, how much longer can he actually defend from the Frenchman in the Ferrari as they head in towards the bus stop chicane? Down the inside goes Nicholas Longuet on Istvan Pukki. He gets later on the brakes. Istvan really with no defense. Philip Presnader, where has he come from? Into the top 10. Tom Manley as well getting involved in this scrap, but Nicholas Longuet, he's found that move and he's up into P6.
He certainly has a brilliant move there from Nicholas Longuet. Looking further back there, Godendorp and Manley go side by side along with Presnader and Evans as they head their way up to Eau Rouge and Ranion. And then surprisingly, no one's made a side-by-side manoeuvre there yet. I'm surprised we haven't seen that, but we do see Nicholas Longuet looking to try and take that P5 away from Alfie Butcher. Further ahead, Hoffland closing in. Brendan Lee as well closing in on the back of Barry Burman, but couldn't quite find the move in towards that corner. And still, Istvan Pukki up in P6 despite having damage on his front right end plate, as we do see further back as well. Presnader dropping down to P11 and Tom Manley now in the top 9. What a battle this has been between everyone. What, the top 12, isn't it? Thomas Ron Haar's involved. He was 4 seconds behind. What, 10 laps ago? He's now right on the cusp of some points.
Where's Thomas Ron Haar come from? All of a sudden, he's found himself potentially fighting for a points-paying position. He's got 3 seconds of penalties to his name. So, you know, Thomas Ron Haar, unless that gets removed, he's not going to be getting any points. But it's just good to see him. We've not said that name at all in this stream, aside from he's out of qualifying. He's not qualifying at all. So fair play to him. He's into 11th position, knocking on the door of that top 10. But look at the top 4, how they have been able to streak away from the rest of the field and approaching lap number 21 of 22. This is where the mind games begin. Barry Burman does not want to go through on Tamas Gal at all. Brendan Lee is happy to sit in 3rd, and Duncan Hoffland happy to just chill behind in 4th position. And through the bus stop chicane, the gap was 2 seconds to Nicholas Longe. It is now 1.5. He has gained 5/10 of a second. Okay, it's going up now, but he gained about 5/10 of a second at one point there. And here they come down the Kemmel Straight for what is the penultimate time in this race. They'll approach that once they get through Eau Rouge and Radion Corner. Duncan Hoffland all over the rear of Brendan Lee as they climb up the hill, open up the DRS. Barry Burman going for the lead. Here's Brendan Lee closing to the rear of Tamas Gal, looks towards the outside line. He'll be boxed in by the Ferrari of Barry Burman, but he'll make that move stick, and he's into P2 on lap number 21 of 22. Brendan Lee could be taking the win at the end of this one here.
He certainly could, as well as Duncan Hoffman makes a send on Tamas Gal into Ravage. A bit of a naughty send there from Duncan Hoffman, but we'll look to try and get P3. Tamas Gal back up the inside into Jack Eats corner.
Oh.
Hoffman gets sent off a little bit like what we saw between Butcher and Godendorp a few laps ago, and now Tamas Gal still in that 3rd spot, but so far back from Brendan Lee and Barry Burman as we head our way into the Lafanya chicane. Once again, Burman is in the leading position. Brendan Lee right behind, and he surely is in a good position to try and take the lead. But then again, remember, he might make the move for the lead heading through in towards Les Combes. But remember this part of the track then as well, they can have a good launch as long as they've got some of that ERS to use.
Yeah, Brendan Lee, he will be all over the rear at the end of the Kemmel Straight, but he's got 7/10 of air between himself and Barry Burman. Barry has done a great job of stretching that advantage to Brendan Lee on this previous lap. However, Brendan will still have a taste of that DRS. Barry Burman harvesting, trying to gain every percentage of ERS that he can deploy to defend from Brendan Lee. The final lap has now hit us here. Brendan Lee, Barry Burman, they've got to dump everything now. Every percentage of ERS that is in that battery at the end of this race is a percentage wasted, a chance wasted. What can Brendan Lee do here? 6/10 to the rear of Barry Burman. He's got to get on the overtake now as he'll open up that DRS for the final time in this Grand Prix. Barry Burman, he's done so well to get ahead of Brendan Lee and pull that gap, and now Brendan in towards the chicane. He's not close enough as he almost sends himself into a spin. Barry Burman, what a performance from him.
This has been superb here by Barry Burman, and Brendan Lee, of course, losing time now. I think a little bit too trigger happy heading through the exit of the Les Combes chicane, but of course we've still got a few corners to go in this Grand Prix for Brendan Lee to try and take that victory away from Barry Burman as we head our way through P1 corner. A bit of a poor entry there for Barry. He loses about a 10th there to Brendan Lee as we head our way into the Lafanya chicane once again. And we'll see a great battle down to the line, I think, because of battery-wise, they're both on the same amount. So this could be a close one as we head our way through the double right-handers and again down to Blanchimont and the brush-up chicane. We'll see. Will it be Brendan Lee or will it be Barry Burman? But I'm sure that Burman's got it here.
They've got to just dump everything. Brendan Lee, he's left it too late, and I think getting onto that throttle through Malmedy a little bit too early, sending himself into a half spin, is what has undid this race for him. The championship leader, he'll have to settle for second because Barry Burman through the final corner now. It will be his first win of the season. Barry Burman takes victory ahead of Brendan Lee. Duncan Hoffland in 3rd, 4th is Tamas Gal, 5th is Longe, 6th for John Evans. That was Isfan Pookie, I think, going off the circuit further back behind. And that was Alfie Butcher sent into a spin, I believe. I have no idea what's happened, but there are the results on your screen. Tom Manley in 7th, 8th is Pookie, 9th Kian Goldendorp, 10th Yanni Tormala, Ronhar in 11th, 12th for Jack West, Will Lewis 13th, 14th is Ikabena, 15th Lenny Pepinter, Philip Presnader in 16th, and Jake Benham. There's no way he's been doing this the entire time. This is an AI car, and so we just got to wait for him to come through the final couple of corners. He's still in the 2nd sector, is Jake Benham. We'll pull away from him there, and we'll have a look at Barry Burman. What a race from him that we have just seen started on pole, and he took the win with it. What a race for him there today. What a race for Ferrari. Shout out to Nicholas Longe, Nathan, starting, 19th on the grid, I think it was. Ismail Fassi started last. 19th on the grid, up 14 places in this race. John Evans as well did a very good job of fighting in and around that top 5 for the entirety of this race. All in all, Ferrari have won today.
Yeah, a brilliant job. I mean, I'm not sure what happened to Presnager because he was in the battle for P10, but he finished, 15 seconds off the lead towards the end, so I'm not sure what happened to him. But a brilliant race indeed. I mean, Duncan Hoffland, what a race. P11 to P3, that is superb stuff there from Duncan Hoffland, of course. Nicholas Longe as well from the back up to P5. We saw some brilliant races here, and of course those drivers showing their experience in race pace rather than that qualifying pace. But of course no one could deny Barry from the victory ahead of Brendan Lee in second and Duncan Hoffland in the top 3. Then we had Tamas Gal, Nicholas Longe, John Evans, Istvan Pukki, Kian Goldendup, Jonas Hormler and Thomas Ronhard. Then Jack West, Sika Bayana, Lema Pinta, Philip Prestrader, Jake Benham, and then of course Tom Manley, Alfie Busher and Will Luther in there somewhere, but because they left the session, it's dropped them down to DNF, but they were somewhere in that top 10 mix, and then of course we did lose Pedreño and Fassi.
Yeah, unfortunate to see Ruben Pedreño and Ismail Fassi both DNFing, but it is Barry Burman taking the victory here today ahead of Brendan Lee and Duncan Hoffland. And Nathan, those are 3 drivers that do like to come in for an interview, so I think we should have a very, very fun time of talking to all of our drivers. We'll bring you over to the intermission. I'm black and white again, there we go. I've got all the colour, I've got my pigmentation back. You can see my colourful scarf jacket further back behind as well. But what a race that was for all of our drivers here this evening, in particular Barry Burman, Brendan Lee, and of course what's his name, Duncan Hoffland. Big Dunk starting 11th on the grid, finishing 3rd. What a race. Brilliant.
I mean, we'll have Duncan in, and of course we will have Barry Burman in as well. Just let us know that he'll be joining the interview box. So there we are. We have Duncan Hoffland in the chat, Dan.
Yeah, we can talk to Duncan Hoffland now. First and foremost, Duncan, welcome in here.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much.
Of course. Now, let's start off this interview talking about your recent announcement, we could say, of you joining Aston Martin F1 Esports. Of course, maybe one of the worst kept secrets in the F1 sim racing world. Are you happy that the news is finally out and that you can race for the team in green?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. And of course, everyone saw it coming, basically. But I mean, yeah, I'm happy. The pace has been great. Good results so far on the game. Very happy to be a main driver now for Aston Martin, representing them in the F1 Sim Racing Series. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, I'm very much looking forward to seeing you in F1 Sim Racing with performances like that. Starting from 11th on the grid, of course, did you ever think at any point that a podium was really possible like it was today?
Well, yeah, it's yeah, of course, it was quite tough, but from the start onwards, I saw the pack was quite close together, so that means that overtaking opportunities are always there. And then after the VSC, I think the terrain behind me got a bit more spread out, and at some point someone lost DRS. So from that point onwards, I could more focus ahead of me, so that was nice. And I think Istvan got damaged from an incident with me, unfortunately for him. So then that was just focus, eyes forward, and then it was basically just us 4 battling it out at the end. And that was the moment I realized I could get a podium, and I was trying to get a win, but then Tamas shoved me off the track, unfortunately, and that means only P3 was possible.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask you about that next. What sort of happened from your point of view with Tamas Gal, and do you think if that didn't happen, would second position be on the cards with an attack potentially on Brendan Lee?
Yeah, of course. I think it was definitely possible finishing further up ahead. I mean, what happened, I was ahead going into the corner, and then he just broke 20 meters later and barely made the corner himself, and I was next to him. So, but it's not the first time him doing that anyway. So I could kind of expect it, but it's not nice him continuing doing that. But yeah, that's unfortunate about that incident. So yeah, then I just had to bring it home in P3.
Yeah, well, really well done to you today. How are you feeling about next time out in Austin, Texas? A very, I'd say, similar circuit to Belgium. It's a long one. There's lots of elevation change. How are you feeling around a track like that?
Well, Kota brings always fantastic racing. We've seen in esports, in any top tier league racing, many overtaking opportunities, long straight and technical sections. So I'm looking forward to that race, and I think you guys as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait for that one personally. But that is all from me, Nathan. Anything you want to say to Duncan here?
Yeah, just one quick question. So, first of all, Duncan, welcoming. Great to have you back on the podium. Just one question, of course, heading into esports, hopefully within the next few months. Does these results here in WOR and PSGL really help your confidence?
Yeah, I would say so. I think for me, and I think for many others, the best practice for esports is league racing. That's why at some point I've been doing 4 league races a week. Might be a bit too much, but I mean, just doing the racing, racing the guys who are also going to be in esports. You get to know them a bit better, what they do, what to expect from them, how they race, and like strategies and all that. You all learn that from um, doing league racing. So, and I mean, looking at the results, I think, yeah, I can be quite confident, but obviously it probably will be a LAN event, and that will be the first time for me. So hopefully that suits me well, and then we will see.
Yes, of course. Well, that's all from me. So, congratulations on the podium, and hopefully we'll see you again sometime soon.
Thank you very much, guys.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you to Duncan Hoffland joining us in the interview room. A decent, well, I say decent, a very strong P3 from him today, starting from 11th on the grid. Qualifying troubles for him. There were no such troubles for Barry Burman, our race winner today, starting on pole. Barry, welcome into the interview room.
Yeah, hello guys. Hope you guys doing well.
Yeah, well, I'm doing fantastic after a race like that from you. First and foremost, let's talk about your qualifying quicker than everyone pretty much throughout the entirety of Q3. And at the end, I think it was 600th clear of Kian Goldendorp. How do you feel on that lap?
Yeah, well, it was a little bit tricky quali with the wet conditions, and it's always like Spa is a really little bit hard track to adopt when you're going from like wet to dry. But I mean, still, I'm happy that I got pole. Obviously, doesn't matter. I am super happy I got pole, and also GG to Kian. I wasn't expecting him to see him in front row, but also yeah, I wanted to say GG's to him, and also welcome back to Alfie.
Yeah, welcome back to Alfie. I mean, put the poor both of them, honestly. Kian, what a qualifying from him. And of course, he is a part of that group of sort of these young, I say tier 2 guys here in WOR that get to show themselves here in tier 1. For a sort of a message for all of them, what are your thoughts on all of these young guys, you know, making their way? Are you quaking in your boots a little bit at how fast these kids are?
To be honest, I remember myself being in that stage as well. I remember it quite well being in back in the days it was pro draft. So being pro draft, having the stress that oh my god, I'm gonna sign or I'm gonna join like a actual Formula One teams, and yeah, I'm quite happy for them. I hope we see obviously more people like them, and yeah, I'm looking forward to see more, and obviously super happy for all of them, and hopefully they just can build from this and get faster and faster and achieve their dreams.
Wow, I think I remember that pro draft. I think it was Alpha Tauri that you went to, if I'm not mistaken. Was it F1?
No. The pro draft I signed a 2024 Mercedes.
Mercedes, that was it. And then
Yeah.
I think it was Manuel that went to AlphaTauri. I don't know where I got your name from. Yeah, it was Mercedes that you went to. I think Manuel Biancalila was the one that was signed to Aston Martin, if I'm not mistaken. I have no idea. It was like 4 years ago. So yeah, you were once in that position, and of course all these young kids are achieving their dreams, and they get to race alongside established figures like yourself. But of course, that experience that you have racing in league racing for such a long time, that translates into victories, and you took that phenomenally today. You fought it out on the final couple of laps with Brendan Lee, and I want to talk about your thinking on lap number 21. We saw you go from what was maybe 0.2 of a second when Brendan Lee got close to you when he made that move on Tamas Gal to about 0.7 at the end of the lap. What was your thinking going for such a gap so early?
Yeah, I appreciate your words. Really appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, lap 21. So, there were some few laps I was just sitting P2. P2 in this game is quite safe in general. So if you get pushed from behind, you just push yours and pass. If you don't get pushed from behind, you can just chill and also have the option to overtake P1. But I kind of started to saving a little bit of my tires. Because I thought we had really good pace on the drivers around us. So I was like, no need to really push. In Spa we can't really out DRS anyone or outpace anyone. So I just saved my tires as much as I can. And then there was like Brendan and Duncan was pushing from behind. So sometimes I had to defend. Sometimes and at the same time, for example, in sector 3 you're getting pushed, you don't want to pass P1 because then you're not gonna have DRS for the main straight and then you're going P4. But yeah, it was a little bit tricky, but lap 21 I decided to pass, and then I was like going to last lap. I can just play the game, play games and let's see what happens. I just wanted to control everything myself because when you're P1 you're controlling everything. And then suddenly I saw the pace is too good that we can even stay ahead and push. And when I realized I did that, it was basically, I think, esport last year. I just realized I have that advantage. Then I used it, and I'm happy to took the win. Also, GG's to my both teammates as well. A little bit unlucky for John, but yeah, I mean, it was really good race for us, I guess.
Yeah, we were actually touching on just before we just sort of started the interviews. We were saying that this race was a win for Ferrari. Of course, you winning the race, that is automatically a win for Ferrari. But Nicolas Longuet starting from 19th on the grid, finishing 5th, I believe it was. That's 14 places gained from him. John Evans, again, a very strong qualifying and decent race pace from him today. Ferrari, you've got to be feeling strong coming into F1 sim racing.
Yeah, I mean, we're just doing our best. Nothing more we can do. We're just analyzing the races, analyzing the practice. If we think we are slow or it's not like we're not like fast at some parts, we're just gonna try to work on it and improve on it. And obviously, as a driver, even if you do a mistake, you're also going to analyze it and see how to improve it. And I think what I felt with Ferrari last year as well, it's continuing this year as well. As a team, we are like not only helping each other on the setups or like these type of things, we also like really close to each other, so we can actually enjoy ourselves, enjoy together, enjoy everyone being like practicing and speaking. And I think that also helps the atmosphere in the team. It's really crucial in my opinion. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm so happy to be part of this team.
That is absolutely fantastic. Really well done from you. That's all from me. Nathan, is there anything you want to say to our race winners today?
Well, first of all, congratulations on the win, Barry. Great to have you back with us again. Just one quick question from me, of course. Rounding out the championship, we have Texas, China, Austria, and Vegas. So out of those, which would you say is the one that you're most excited for?
Yeah, thank you so much, Nathan. Yeah, I'm racing Texas. I already know.
Yes.
Next Sunday, I'm racing Texas.
Do you like that
Texas.
track, Ben?
Yeah, it's my favorite track, I think. Yeah, I really enjoy driving it, but I think I don't know how many races left because I'm not really in the championship fight or anything. But I will try to do all of them.
Yeah. So if Texas is your favorite track, and we getting pole by half a second.
I mean, that might not be possible. I might just turn off the corner cut, maybe. If
You never know.
Straight line sector 1, maybe.
Oh, anyway,
Yeah,
sorry, mate. Carry
but
on.
I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna try my best. Simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. It's the best thing you can do. But of course, thanks for joining us for an interview. And of course, great to have you back again. And hopefully, we'll see you again here next week after Texas.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much to Barry Burmand. A very happy man, it seems. Not with just the race, but with everything. Ferrari in some very high spirits, Nathan, and
Yep.
Barry Burman, he oozes that in that interview. I could feel the smile on his face, and it rubbed off onto me. I was smiling throughout that entire interview, just hearing that guy so happy with how things are at the minute, and that is very, very big for F1 sim racing, because of course team cohesion is what you really do need if you want to challenge for the team's championship. And I think a lineup of Nicholas Longate and Barry Burman with John Evans in the wings, who can on his day give a very, very strong performance, these guys have got to be constructors' favourites.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the likes of Yona as well, and Christian helping them in the engineering box as well. Obviously, those guys do a great job to help the drivers. So it's just a brilliant team, isn't it? An absolutely amazing team over in Ferrari. I mean, over in PSGL, they've took the E-Series Championship 3 times in a row. I mean, you know, nothing can stop them anywhere, it seems, apart from the Drivers' Championship, but half the drivers don't turn up half the time.
Yeah, I mean, how different would this championship actually look with Nicholas Longay? He started the season off very, very well. He started P2 to Jana Watmere. Brendan Lee was third in that round number 1, and then we didn't see him throughout the entire rest of the season. I've got actually the standings on my screen. He's done 2 races this season, and he's still top 10 in the championship. Yep. Barry Burman, this is his 2nd race of the season, and he's won it. You know, John Evans, he's been here in and out a couple of times as well. He's racing for McLaren, actually. He's got a full-time seat, but this is only his 4th race of the season. So I wonder how different this championship would actually look if all the Ferrari boys turned up every single week. And I wonder, would any of them be giving Brendan Lee a run for his money? Because after the results of this race and his rivals, Tom Manley, I think at most was like 10th or whatever. Jana Watmere, of course, didn't race. Thomas Ronhar was out of the points. Ishmael Fassi DNF'd. Otis Lawrence wasn't here. Isfan Pookie. And by the way, this is like championship rivals. Isfan Pookie came into this race 92 points behind Brendan Lee. So I'm stretching the word championship rival very, very thin. Well, Brendan Lee is so far ahead now.
The gap was 46 heading into this race. It got stretched again by another. Tom Manley finished 9th. Brendan Lee got 2nd, so it stretches by another 16, which puts it to what? 63?
62, isn't it?
62, 63, which is just insane. It's not what we saw. Was it last season from Uppbeat, the season before?
Oh, I don't remember.
I can't remember which one it was. I think it was season 16.
I remember season 13, I think. Lucas Blakely won like 3 races in 4. He was flying in the championship, then didn't turn up for the rest of the season and lost the championship, which was very But you know what was so funny about that, Nathan, was that he, in the last couple of races, despite not even turning up for the entirety of the season, he was still in the championship fight. You had to consider Lucas Blakely, who only done 4 races in the whole season. So,
well, I mean, season 15, he only attended 7 and got 140 points.
Exactly. That might have been it. It might have been season 15, actually, that I'm thinking. I have no idea. But, yeah, I mean, it's hilarious how different these championships would actually look if everyone turned up every single week. But Brendan Lee, he's going to be loving life at the minute. And I think in the next couple of weeks, if not, well, he can't win it next time out in Kota, but if he has another fantastic race in Kota, you've got to consider the permutations into round number 10 of the season. Round number 10 of 12. 3 races to go, and you're thinking about locking the championship out. What a season of dominance that is.
Yeah, it's been one of the the most dominant I think we've seen so far. I mean, just looking at the results here, third, second, first, 6th, second. Oof, that's good.
Absolutely. He's been incredibly consistent throughout the entire course of this season. Unfortunately, we didn't get to talk to Brendan Lee. I'm just checking one more time. He's not in the interview room. I think last time he told me he was just going to go to bed. So I think maybe he's gone to bed again. So
Fair enough.
Fair enough, Brendan. It's late. Well,
no, I remember. He said he's going to only do an interview if Gramps was watching, but me and Granda wasn't here today because he was asleep.
Who's? I saw that in the live chat, actually. Who's Gramps?
My granddad. He popped in there once, and Brendan Lee found that quite amazing.
That is sweet.
Over an E-Series, it was.
Oh, that is your granddad. Wow. My granddad, bless him, he's like 90. I think he's just turned 96 now. He doesn't understand anything that I do. I know my mom watches. I know my mum is here, so hello. if you are watching, I don't think you will be at this
I mean,
point in the
I remember the
stream.
time she walked into your room when you was live, over in PSGL.
Yeah, I remember that as well.
George.
She's done it. She's done it
Oh.
multiple times. Bless her. But I mean, I'm in a new place now. I can't. No one's gonna walk
Exactly.
in. No one's gonna walk in on me. So I'm feeling a bit alone at the minute. If you are watching, Mum, I do love you very, very much. But yeah, we need Gramps in here soon. So Nathan, get on the phone to him, and then we can have Brendan Lee coming back in
Exactly.
for an interview. Yeah, and if everyone's watching, if anyone's still watching at home, we got 160 people. To be completely fair, if anyone's watching at home, get in contact with your relatives. You know, just check in on them. Tell them to watch some WOR on a Sunday evening with you because
They might not understand, but it doesn't matter.
it's real. I don't know, but yeah. I mean, just get in touch with the other ones. But yeah, I think that's a nice way to end off here this evening. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to WOR. Of course, it wasn't without its issues. My PC reset on itself for no reason whatsoever. But yeah, it's a good thing that everyone else decided to wait for us. So that's what we're going to say it is. Everyone just decided to have an awful time getting into the lobby, and all was well. Hopefully next time out in Kota we're going to have no such issues. You can follow us on social media at WOR League on Twitter, and you can follow us on TikTok at World Online Racing F1_. If you haven't already, please do leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the World Online Racing YouTube channel. You can follow me on Twitter at DanfieldF1_. And if you want to follow Nathan, it is RichieF1 with the eyes replaced by ones. You can see our names are just below our face cams here, so do please check us out. Drop us a message, we'll get back to you. But yeah, that is all. We'll see you next time out in 1 week's time, same place at Texas, and we'll see you then. I cannot wait for the end of this season. Brendan Lee against Tom Manley. Who will it be to challenge Brendan Lee? We'll have to wait and find out. But for now, that is everything. Thank you and good night.